I would do this thing where I would be at a party. I'd be at a keg party, and then I would get naked, right?
Welcome to the Kevin Clancy Show. I've been in this game over a decade, and I knew I needed a place where I could run wild on my own solo podcast, where I tell personal stories, I deep dive into conspiracy theories, we rip through the current events of the day, and we do sit-down conversations with the most interesting people on the internet. Make sure you click subscribe so you don't miss an episode. What's up, you mutts? It's another episode of the Kevin Clancy Show. Spike Tour, Phase 2, Episode 10, Paul Virzi on the show. Paul Virzi, one of Bill Burr's best friends, funny New York guy, 914, he's a Westchester dude, and there's just something about, I've always said, I can tell the difference between East Coast guys and West Coast guys. And then you boil down East Coast to New York, and then you boil that down even further to if you are a Bronx guy, a Westchester guy, I just fucking click with those people, whether it's my guy Clem here at Barstool or a dude like Paul, who I got to know through the industry and comedy and whatnot. And it's just like talking to an older brother or looking in the mirror when we're telling stories about growing up and underage boozing and partying and talking sports. You know what I realized with Paul, and I texted with him a little bit about this over the weekend, comedians don't really like sports. Not a lot of them. Most of them end up gravitating towards MMA and the UFC. But the guys that I know, at least, the guys and girls I know, very few of them are into baseball, basketball, hockey, football. Like, Paul's one of them, because him and Bill Burr love hockey. Paul loves, like, everything New York, but, like, and Bill's a big hockey guy, so they talk about it a lot. I know Soder is a huge sports fan. Gillis is not, he's more like Notre Dame and college football, so he likes normal sports as well. Segura, and that's like it. Those are like, there's like 5 guys who I feel like I could talk about. Like if I said to them, like, hey, you see what like the Mets and Yankees did? And they would know. And everybody else does MMA, UFC. And I don't know what that is. And it's funny though, because when you do look at it, like all of those guys are like normal dudes, you know? Like Bill has obviously become like superstardom. But like Soder is just like a New York cat who like you can catch at the bar doing a set, you know, for like 50 people, or Legion of Skanks podcast, or doing his radio show. He hasn't become like an LA Hollywood comic, you know. Maybe I'm not thinking it through fully, but like I know Santino watches sports too, but a lot of them don't seem to just be, you would think, like so like-minded and cut from the same cloth of like Barstool people. But maybe that's kind of the difference, is like, I guess when you're going up there 6 nights a week, hours and hours every night, you're not watching, 150 baseball games. You're not worried about watching the whole, Knicks season. You're just out there doing comedy. It basically like consumes who you are. But you will watch a pay-per-view here and there to watch someone's face get beaten in. It's an interesting dynamic. And I witnessed a lot of the different types of comics and celebrities this week in juxtaposing the 9/11 memorial comedy show that I went to versus the Met Gala, which had, just like in my mind, the 2 types of celebrities that can exist in this world. And on the one side are the comics, and on the other side are more of these singers, actors, fashionistas who just become, the true like celebrity types that we all fucking hate. And then there's the celebrities who just seem to be cool people who are relatable, who are the people I'm trying to have come through here on the Kevin Clancy Show during the Spike Tour. Big update on the Spike Tour. I'll let you guys in on how the sausage is made, look behind the curtain. I get a text from some of the powers that be here saying the PFT interview did really, really well. And I was like, yeah, no fucking kidding. He looked at the charts, like it was, the highest episode the Kevin Clancy Show had ever reached, the highest level of the charts, most downloads. And she was like, look how much better than the other episodes and look how much better it's doing. And I was like, yeah, that's the fucking point. When you put me in a room for a long sit-down combo with a big guest that people know and like, it's gonna do numbers. That's why the Spite Tour is so infuriating when I was told, like, yeah, no, just go do it yourself. I'm like, all right, I'm going to go fucking do it myself, and I'll just I'll put in all the favors, I'll call all the friends, I'll tell everybody what's up, and I'll just do it all on my own. But yeah, when PFT comes in and we sit down and have a killer conversation, people listen. And if you could just do that for me, we would have a new, good, successful, top-tier show. Funny how that fucking works. That's like exactly what the Spite Tour is all about, where I said, like, all right, fuck you, we'll just do it on our own. Me and my team will do it all ourselves. So, yeah. But that's where, I need more of those guests. I need more of those numbers and more of that performance. So, really, if you look back at the past week with the PFT interview, the 9/11 special with Annie and Large, Wall Street's Gentleman, if you haven't watched that, I know we're kind of over the 9/11 anniversary at this point, but they say never forget, so go fucking watch that. The 1 Minute Man about the man in the red bandana, like putting out high quality, really good content these days. I feel like at this point in my career, it's like we have just reached a level where everything is money. And I do still need the Kevin Clancy Show to just reach that level where they will keep funneling in all of those top tier, high level guests, because I don't think there's anybody here doing it quite like I do it when we sit down and have those like 2-hour convos. So as always, like I said, anybody who posts about it, post a screenshot, a screen recording, show yourselves listening to the show, watching the show on YouTube. We're going to repost it on Instagram. We're going to retweet it on Twitter. We got to blow this shit up. I want you to leave comments in the YouTube about what guests you want. I'll go get them. Spite Tour Phase 3 coming, brought to you by you guys. You guys got to go out there and tell me who you want. Tag them, tag me. We're going to make it happen, blow this shit up. All right, also while we're talking shop, a couple other housekeeping items. Wednesday, September 15th, if you're listening to this right when it dropped, we will be live on stage tonight for KFC Radio Live at Caroline's on Broadway in Manhattan. So if you're in New York, you go to carolines.com, see if there's any tickets left. You can come hang out. We do KFC Radio Live, meaning we play voicemails, we do Answer the Internet, Am I the Asshole? We do a top 5 list and have celebrity video cameos and some guest appearances. We do meet and greets, hang out, have some drinks with us at Caroline's tonight. Also, new color block hoodies are out. I'm wearing one right now. It's officially hoodie season. I know that it's warm in New York, but hey, hoodie season's all year round. This one I call the mint chocolate chip. You got the mint green and the black, a little hint of the yellow. I got the Backstreet Boys hoodie. I call that, remember their Black and Blue album? It's exactly what this fucking hoodie looks like, the cover of that album with the embroidered moon man. You've also got the Easter hoodie with the purple and yellow color block. You got the Stay Puffed Viva branding. And last but certainly not least, the Nintendo Switch hoodie with that patented red and blue. So color block hoodies available at the Barstool Sports Store under the Viva section. This is real. This is real fashion. This is real people fashion. None of that avant-garde shit where you walk in, it's like, look, I put like 2 slices of deli ham over my tits and that's my dress for the night. No, these are just real hoodies that everyone can wear, guy or girls. So go get them. Come see us live. All right, back to the action. But as I was saying, the 2 different types of celebrity is really what interested me this week. It's brought to you by Manscaped. At the end of the day, whether you are celebrity or normal, whether you're rich or poor, you've all got a dick and balls, and you've all got pubic hair, and you all got to take care of that. And that's where Manscaped comes in, because every guy who puts their pants on one leg at a time also has a dick and 2 balls that needs to be trimmed up. And that's why Manscaped makes affordable but effective tools to make sure you do all your manscaping and keep it smooth and clean and hygienic. They got the Lawnmower 4.0 that has the ceramic blade with nick-proof technology, so you're never going to get that spider bite on your ball sack where it just keeps on bleeding. It's got the flashlight. It's got the waterproof technology. We've got the weed whacker for your nose and your ears. We've got the ball preserver, the crop preserver, and the ball deodorant, which are deodorant and creams and serums for your balls so that everything is smooth and the skin is nice. It's crazy, folks, that Manscaped has just made balls their profession, their art. You know, it's like Man on Fire when they say, a man can be anything. A man can be an artist in anything. Food, whatever. Manscaped's art is balls. And with the Lawnmower 4.0, they've just painted their masterpiece. You know, like Picasso painted on a canvas and Michelangelo used a block of stone, and the Manscaped execs, they use your dick and balls. They know everything about the testicles. They know it all, and they know how to keep them clean and keep them trim, and they know how to give you a 20% discount when you go to manscaped.com. Promo code Clancy, 20% off plus free shipping to get all the equipment you need to keep your equipment clean. Speaking of balls, it kind of ties into the celebrities we're talking about here. Nicki Minaj talking about why you maybe don't want to get the vaccine because of a gentleman whose balls blew up. We'll talk about that shortly. But what I saw this week, on the one hand you had the Met Gala. On the one hand you had the 9/11 New York City Still Rising comedy special that Pete Davidson put together. On the other hand, you had the Met Gala. Now, both of them equally like star-studded in my mind. At the Garden on Sunday night, you had Dave Chappelle, Bill Burr, Colin Jost, Michael Che, John Mulaney. The list went on and on. Colin Quinn, Dave Attell, Jay Farrow, Carly Aquilino, a couple other names I'm still already missing that were just so fucking, Tom Segura, of course, so fucking funny. Just, in my opinion, what had to be the greatest comedy lineup in quite some time. I mean, there's been festivals and there's been big events, but in like the modern time, the last few years, you ain't gonna find a better lineup. There's like Chris Rock was a guest, like a surprise appearance. Chris Rock wasn't even on the fucking lineup and ends up coming out. And what it was like this unbelievable display, of comedy and you know, talent and humor, but also of like humility and empathy, and it was for charity. It was cool. Jon Stewart, Pete Davidson put on the event, and they were like, they're just normal guys and normal girls, you know. Even like Amy Schumer, who's gone on to become like this mega famous, you know, she's not kind of just like a comic anymore. She's a movie star and a TV star and all that. Just kind of like shooting the shit, talking. You know, Sam J was on the show. She was unbelievable. Just some up-and-comers, some people who had absolutely fucking made it to the tippy top. And they were like, just kind of talking, you know? And that's obviously what comics do, and that's why people love stand-up comedy, is it always feels relatable and it feels like you know these people. But it was really on such a great display at this event. And it's such a stark difference to the other type of celebrity. Like, they feel like, you know, they've become rich and famous, but really at the end of the day, they're just like any other dude or girl that you would know that's just kind of hanging out. Wanda Sykes was there. Like, names that are just, they all continue to pop up. And they're all just talking about like fucking and drinking and being embarrassed and funny things and observations that like every man and every woman is like, oh yeah, shit, like that happened. Dave Chappelle just he came out just absolutely obliterated. Just totally fucking drunk. And in that moment, I'm looking at Dave Chappelle, who is undoubtedly, well, I can't say undoubtedly, in my mind, undoubtedly, the funniest comedian of all time, the greatest, best comedian of all time. And not even comic anymore. He's like the greatest performer in a way, like the greatest communicator. Like, I feel like I'm watching a speech when he goes up there, not just like a comedy set. And he's shit-faced, man. He's fucking ham-faced. He's drunk as shit. Drunk as a skunk, gone off tequila, sipping a Stella, smoking cigs, and just like, you know, very clearly drunk, but still doing his thing. But in a way that, in that moment, I'm looking at this guy who I'm like, I hold this guy in such high regard. Yet in that moment, I'm like, this man is just drunk as a skunk like any of us have been in inappropriate times. Have you ever been too drunk at a family party? You ever get too shit-faced on a date? You ever get bombed at a wedding when you had to give a speech? Have you ever, have you ever? All these moments where you're like, oh my God, remember that one? I had way too many that night. That was Dave Chappelle, except he was on stage in front of fucking like 20,000 people at the Garden for a 9/11 charity event. And it's like, that's the fucking magic. That's why it works. And Chappelle is like, that only happens in that moment when he was like bombed. But like Colin Jost stood up there. And I kind of said it on KFC radio, but like Colin Jost just looks like one of the dudes who's in your crew who happened to fucking hit it out of the park. Who happened to just like crush life. Where it's like, yeah, I'm smart and I'm pretty talented, but man, I got the fucking cushiest job on SNL, and I landed like the hottest chick in the world. And it's like, oh yeah, there goes Colin. He just happens to be a megastar now. Pete Davidson, like, you know, because Pete Davidson was the only guy who was at the 9/11 charity event who also could pull off the Met Gala. As far as I know, I don't think anybody else on that lineup is doing Met Gala. But Pete on Sunday night was doing, you know, jeans and a button-up, talking shit with his buddies, cracking jokes. And then, you know, the next night was wearing a dress, calling himself a slutty nun, and hanging out at like the swankiest, bougiest event in the whole fucking world. And that is, like, he's the only guy who I think plays in both those worlds. Everybody else is just kind of like cool-ass dudes. That's why Paul Virzi works really well today. You'll hear a story he tells in the interview later where he used to get drunk, get naked, and steal imaginary bases. He would go out in the backyard and pretend he was playing baseball and steal second base totally naked with his friends cheering him on. Those are the kind of guys. If you're the type of guy who gets drunk and pretends to steal imaginary bases when you're drunk, when you're naked, it doesn't matter how big you get, you're not a Met Gala person. And that doesn't mean you're not going to go to the Met Gala. It means you're not a Met Gala person. There's a stark difference between if you got an invitation and if you are one of them. Like, I could see Chappelle going to the Met Gala, but I don't think he's a Met Gala person. I could see Chappelle turning down the Met Gala, to be honest. You know what's cool about the Met Gala? They say if you get invited and you turn them down, you don't get another invitation. Which is probably bullshit because, like, I think Rihanna missed it one year. Harry Styles wasn't there this year because he was on tour. But I'm sure they bend the rules for certain people. But it's like, if we invite you and you flat out turn us down just because you don't want to go there, like, you're done. You cut off the list. Never again. We don't care who you become. That's pretty fucking cocky. But there's, you know, go to the Met Gala versus a Met Gala person. As much as I bash on the Met Gala, I would go in a fucking heartbeat. I would never be Met Gala people. But if one day this thing blew up and I got some fame with the right people and I got an invitation, fuck yeah, I'm going. That is the Met Gala in a nutshell. There needs to be like a cycle or like a flow chart of like, are you rich? Are you poor? Yes, no. Okay, did you get invited to the Met Gala? Yes, like then no. Okay, if you didn't get invited to the Met Gala, what do you do? One, you make fun of the Met Gala because like they're trash. Like two, try to get like more famous to get an invitation to the Met Gala. Three, go to the Met Gala, become one of those celebrities you fucking hated on. Because that's all anybody's really trying to do, is they're waiting for their moment to get an invite to the Met Gala. And then when you go, first thing you do, you take a stick, you jam it up your asshole. Up your ass, through your whole body, like up to the fucking base of your spine, so that you can just be a stuffy, bougie dickhead all night long while you pretend to be something you're not. And you can rub shoulders with Kim Kardashian, who's wearing this fucking Vanta black suit where it looks like she's a cutout in the world. Like, it looks like somebody, everyone's been saying she looks like an unlocked video game character. It looks more like someone had a picture and like cut you out with fucking Photoshop. Just like trace the line, took it out. And I don't know what it looks like for her. So she needs to post a picture of like what she saw that night. But it's utterly fucking ridiculous to go out to a party and have your fucking face covered by a hood. It's crazy. I was gonna talk about other parties where people are wearing hoods. Not good though. You got like people wearing big blankets and just total ridiculous fucking nonsense. And they all pose like they're fucking angry, probably because of the stick that they had to put up their ass before they walked through the door. I wouldn't be smiling for pictures either. But they're all so like, blue steel, this is my moment. Just serving looks. And I get it because that's the fashion world and that's what they do. But it's like, come on, who are you fucking people? In a world where relatability is now becoming more and more like key and king, They are just straying further and further away. And that's what interests me, is because that's what the juxtaposition was. Like, the people I can relate to on some level. Like, even though Bill Burr is fucking mega famous, unbelievable level of success and fame, when he comes through here, we are kind of like, we have a conversation where we're like, not on the same level, but we're just like equals in that conversation. It's like, we're just talking about sports. We're talking about regular shit. And yeah, he's way above me and he knows it, but he doesn't treat me like that, whatever. The Met Gala people are like, I am above you. And that's the difference, but there's also something to be like said for that. Because I think we kind of need that in society in a little way. That's kind of what's entertaining about it all. What's interesting is if we are moving away from that. Because like, people are interested in celebrities because you do put them on a pedestal and you are like, oh my God, they're so pretty, talented, rich, do cool things, exclusive, mysterious. You know, you don't know like what Leo's doing, right? You're like, oh, he's on a yacht. That's why paparazzi pictures were so like key, because it was like you get a glimpse of what's going on. And that glimpse would be them like wearing clothes you've never seen, or expensive shit you couldn't afford, or fucking people who were prettier than you, or going to places you could never get in. And it's that exclusivity. So they have to keep that club like, you know, I am better than you. But if you look at where the world has been going the past 10 years, really 20 years, really since like the internet, fame is going kind of the other way, where it's like the most famous people are the ones that the vloggers, the bloggers, the vloggers, the social media accounts, the live streams, the things where it's like you're just watching people live. So now it's not like, oh, that's the actor that I want to see. That's why, you know, MTV Cribs used to be such a big deal, because it was like we get to see how they live. That's why Stars, They're Just Like Us, or Robin Leach, Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. That was like, we got to see how they live. Now that's all we get. We see too much. We know how everybody lives. We know what their house looks like, what their car looks like, what their kids look like, what their high moments, their low moments, their successes, their failures, their exes, their currents, their sex tapes. We have everything. We have access to all of it. So now what's becoming famous is not that exclusivity, but rather the relatability, where it's like, I follow that guy or girl, or I like their shit because I know almost everything there is to know about them, or at least they portray it that way. And that's like me. Or, you know, they seem just like my family, or I bet I could hang out with them and fit right in. And I don't know which is better or worse, but there is a stark difference where it's like comics will get up there and they'll tell you some shit, joke about like, you know, they've got a small dick too, or like they're fat also, or they're, you know, my wife busts my balls too. You're like, I can relate to all this. And then you see, you know, Lady Gaga at the fucking Met Gala with, you know, like fucking carrots coming out of her ears or some shit, and you're like, what is that? You see some of these girls showing up in like completely sheer dresses, just totally naked, and you're like, that's not normal. I've never seen that before. Dudes walking around with electronic babies. Frank Ocean had a animatronic baby doll walking around with it on his hip like he's not out of his fucking mind. And I know these people are performative, and they're doing this on purpose, and they know how over the top it is, but at the same time, they don't. At the same time, they're taking it dead ass serious. And that's why they're serving looks and being like, okay, let me have my moment where I'm staring through their soul, you know? It's like, Kim, you can't even fucking see where you're going. And AOC comes in with her tax the rich fucking dress. AOC. AOC is the winner of it all, she's the perfect Venn diagram. If you hate people at the Met Gala, everybody who's at the Met Gala, everybody who was at the 9/11 charity fund, like everybody hates AOC. That's the intersection there. Fuck AOC. Showing up to the Met Gala wearing a $45,000 dress, going to a party that cost $30,000 to get into, saying tax the rich on your dress. And she got ahead of it. She tweeted out, like, before everybody loses their minds, I'm a public servant figure, that we go to these events, so don't go crazy. And by the way, this is me, like, this is an outsider weaseling her way into the club to tell them, like, we're tearing you down. No, it's fucking not. Because if it was that would kind of be cool. If AOC truly was like, I'm the bartender who was slinging tacos and I got elected and now I am taxing the rich and I'm fucking their shit up and all of that, like, fine. That would be cool. That would be like, wow. And if you did, like, I think if she really wanted to make that statement, she'd say, I turned down my invite. You know, that whole, like, if we invite you and you don't come, if you don't say yes, you don't come ever again. She should publicize that and say, good. I don't ever want to come to your fucking party, because it celebrates and promotes and props up the wealth disparity that I'm talking about. That would have been more impactful. Or if she went and she did dress totally fucking normal. The theme this year was American fashion, which the only thing I can think of is fucking jeans. So if she showed up dressed like the bartender gear she used to wear, said, this is what America's really about. Hardworking, blue collar, middle class shit. Fuck the rest of this fancy $100,000 dresses and jewelry. Tax the rich. That would be more of a statement. But when you dress like them, act like them, hang out with them, smile with them, party with them, you are them. You have become a celebrity, AOC. And if she follows through with all this legislation and somehow does come out and tax the rich, like, okay then, fine, you know, make sure the actions back up your words. But right now it just seems like you like being a fucking famous Twitter follower too. Right now it seems like you like being a famous Twitter personality too. Like, you just want to hang out with the Kardashians and you like the fame and the attention. You became a Met Gala person. You started out as a 9/11 comedian charity person and you ended up a Met Gala person. And that's the worst of the fucking worst. What I don't know, what I can't tell is, and I'll leave it on this before we get to Paul, because I don't know the answer to it. Which is the better way to be famous, if you will? Better meaning more interesting, more effective, better for like your brain, if you will. If you were that person, if you were a famous person, would you want to be the mysterious, you don't know anything about me, movie star, famous person, I'm above you, I'm inaccessible, I'm in my ivory tower, you're a poor peasant down here, and that's how I'm going to make my fame? Or the people like us, people like me, who's like, I'm going to show you my whole life, and I hope you find it interesting. I'm not overly talented, I'm not very different, I'm not anything special, but here's some funny things about my life, here's some interesting things. Which one? And they both have their value, because on the one hand you have like, you at least try to keep your privacy as the traditional celebrity. And so you don't have to share everything. They don't know who you're fucking, who you're dating, where you are at all times. Paparazzis will try, and you have to fucking throw them off the scent and hide that from them. So that part sucks. But if you do keep it tight, you have, you know, some privacy to your life. The other side is like you're willingly giving up all of that, and in exchange for the followers and the attention and the fame and the money. But that means you have to give all the time. Like certain times I'm like, do I have to explain everything, man? Do you have to know every detail about my divorce or my marriage or my affair or my friends or my kids or my work? It's like, I give you 99%. Can I just have the 1% for myself? And people basically reply no, where they're like, no, that's the deal. You gave us an open book. We're going to read it. Sorry, man. We got to get it all from you. And sometimes I'm like, I wish I was just that fucking person, you know, behind the curtain, like the Leo where you can't find me, you know? But then the flip side is when those people do some shit, when they slip up, it's like the end of the world, because they didn't know that person had it in them. You know, it's like, oh, I only knew that. I thought that person was like nice and happy, and it turns out no, they're pretty dark. Like John Mulaney, it was known that he had some drinking problems back when he was younger, but for the most part, we thought of him as this clean cut. I'm in the suit. I'm proper. Oh, no, wait a minute, I'm a fucking cokehead and a raging alcoholic. And it was like, whoa, there's this fall from grace and this big surprise. Whereas on the other side, when I did go through some shit, or when Logan Paul goes through some shit, or there's a scandal, it's kind of like, yeah, my cards are already on the table. You know, you knew who I was. Right now, for me, it's like, all my skeletons, they're not in the closet. They're sitting at the fucking dining room table. They're in the den with me watching TV. So each side kind of has And over here, I'm going crazy because I don't have any privacy. Over here, they're like trying to keep their privacy and losing it, so they go crazy. Everything kind of has its pros and cons, ups and downs, but I wonder which will last, which will end up being, like, will there always be those two different classes? Will the traditional media stars still be the special celebrities, if you will? And the internet will still just be like, yeah, they're famous, but they're not like, they're not like Jennifer Lopez famous. It's like, I don't know. You looked at Addison Rae. She was just a fucking TikToker who ended up going to the Met Gala. Like the wall is breaking down a little bit. The boundaries are blending a little bit as to what is fame and who's iconic enough and who's important, because the internet has changed the game, man. And at the end of the day, though, the bottom line is you are an asshole if you let any of those people dictate anything truly serious about your life. Like Nicki Minaj is on her Twitter talking about her cousin's friend in Trinidad. He got the vaccine. He became impotent. His testicles began to swell up, and he got dumped by his fiancée a week before his wedding. So just take that into account, folks, when you're about to go get your vaccine. And I guarantee you, there was a chunk of people who are not getting vaccinated because they're like, did you hear what happened to Nicki Minaj's cousin's friend in Trinidad? Which is fucking insanity. If you listen to any celebrity to tell you about your health, your vaccine, your money, where you should live, how you should vote, what you should like, what you shouldn't like, I mean, absolute idiot. That's what you are. There's only two things your entertainers and the people you're fans of that should tell you, that you should listen to. If they tell you what hoodies to buy, maybe you should listen. If they tell you like there's a pair of sneakers coming out soon that you might like, that are just like, low top, black canvas kicks, maybe that you should listen to. If they tell you to come to a comedy show tonight at Caroline's, maybe you should listen to that. But the rest of it, fuck them. Otherwise, tell them fuck off. Because if you're listening to anybody from Nicki Minaj, because she knows somebody who's got a big fat nutsack, that's really what we're talking about. She wrote that tweet, especially using the word testicles, like she was like, oh, I'm going to be proper here. Do your research, folks. No one's fucking doing any research. Who does research? Research is like reading somebody's tweet or fucking Googling something. Nobody, that was a good save. Nobody out here is fucking, reading the fucking, going to the library. We can't get any guests, so we got fucking bottles of water holding up our goddamn signs here. No wonder they're not booking our guests. We can't even put up our own fucking signs, Nick. I was going to say, this guy picked something that's mobile to fucking move it. No, get that out of there. It was worse. It's making it worse. Get it out of there. Nope. Get it out. I got it. I'm going to jam it underneath this thing. I promise you I've got it. I'm doing it all myself, from the guests to the fucking set, Nick. You're going to be in the next Spite tour. Fuck. We're good. No, we're not.
Heads are falling off.
So embarrassing. This is how it goes. I'm sitting here trying to portray myself as one of these fucking people trying to be.
Put that back.
When I say that it's fake it till you make it, this is what I'm fucking talking about, man. We truly are just throwing this shit together, just trying to make it look like we belong. That's why when I see like the 9/11 special, when I see what these guys put together, I'm like, oh my God, that was like a real fucking video. Like, holy shit, you guys made like an actual fucking documentary. That's impressive. That is some serious shit that I find to be like, coming from where I was, I should say. It's not even we at that point. Like, coming from where I was when I was like just filming videos with like a digital camera and just blogging and trying to put together any sort of video content, to now, like, we've got all these cameras and still, it's still like I'm using a fucking mason jar and a Mets bottle of wine to prop up my neon sign while I drag. This chair comes from my lobby. We drag it around every fucking week to do the episode. I have a ring light that we just put the camera through the ring light. And I'm like, I don't know. Do we get as many downloads as Joe Rogan yet? I mean, it's like, what are we? I'm booking my own guests. I'm making my own set. We're pulling furniture from other places. It is a crazy operation here to just be like, to be where we're at, where we hit the charts, the amount of downloads we get. It is snake it till you make it forever, man. I've been doing it whether I'm in the corporate world or in the entertainment world. Either way, total fraud, total fucking fraud. And I love it. You want to call me a hack? I'm with you. I believe you. All the haters, he's a fraud, he's a hack. You're fucking goddamn right. I can't believe it's working at all. Will we be invited to the 9/11 charity one day? Nope. Will we be fucking ever at the Met Gala? Nope. Do I want to go to both? Yep, abso-fucking-lutely, man. But at the end of the day, as I was saying before I was rudely interrupted by the Moon Man, if you make any legitimate decision in your life based on someone that you've never met, based on a celebrity that said something on a social media platform or on their show or on an interview, that's not like, if there's some logical discussion and they say some shit that makes sense to you, fine. If we're talking about, like I said, buy this shirt or watch this show or whatever, there are certain things where we can speak on that's like, oh, I know that person watches a lot of TV, so I'll listen to his recommendation. I'll listen to the guys tell me what movie to watch. All that kind of shit, fine. But like a serious life decision about what to invest your money in or what to do medically or what to do relationship-wise or family-wise, if you listen to any fucking buddy that's in the entertainment industry, you are the idiot. That's what's funny about all this. People who complain about the Met Gala, people who complain about the wealth disparity, people who complain about all that shit, the fans create all that. Because at the end of the day, if there's demand for it, then there's a supply for it. Then there's sponsors who will give you the money. There are companies that will pay out the checks because you go to the park, you go to the stadium, you go to the event, you buy the fucking clothes, you buy the music, the download the streams, all of it you create. So don't fucking complain about it. And at the end of the day, if you are a fan of those people, while I will say you're an idiot for listening to them, if you enjoy that kind of shit, that's fucking, yeah, of course you do. That's tale as old as time. You like the girl who's the prettiest one at the ball. You like the guy who's the funniest one at the party. The dude who can run the fastest, jump the highest, score the most points. You like the quarterback, fucking the prom queen, cheerleader. We like that shit because we want to be that shit. And we watch those people live it out, and we want to follow along, live vicariously through it, gossip about your lives so that we can get through our shitty own lives. I hate people who are like, oh, you're so blinded by celebrity life. Again, should not take anything they say seriously, should not let them speak about normal people situations since they're not normal. But if you love them and want to go to their shows and see them, and if you get emotional when you see them and get excited if you get to talk to them, take a picture, that's fucking, anybody who doesn't, I'm not starstruck, then you're an asshole. Then you can't even acknowledge that this person has done something really fucking cool or really special in life, that they're just unique and rare in some regard. Yeah, you don't have to suck their dick. You don't have to fucking go down on them and do everything they say. But fuck anybody who was like, oh, I don't even care that, Michael Jordan's right over there. Yeah, of course you fucking do. You goddamn assholes. Like a guy like Bill Burr, a guy like Paul Virzi, they sit down, do a podcast together, talking to the normal guys, but they're not normal guys at the end of the day. They are the top 1%, cream of the crop type comedians in their field who do what they do better than anybody else. And you're about to hear from a guy like Paul, you're about to hear why. The Paul Virzi Spite Tour interview on the Kevin Clancy Show is brought to you by Roman. Because at the end of the day, every guy is just a normal dude. You might have the money and the fame and the looks and the exclusivity. You get behind closed doors and it's go time with a chick, you're worried about your dick. You are. You just are. Maybe not like Leo. Maybe not the guys who put up big numbers because they're just like, yeah, I know how this works. But even like the regular famous guys are like, come on, buddy. I'm going to need a big performance out of you tonight because your dick doesn't know you're famous. Your dick's just a dick. He doesn't know, oh, wait a minute. We're on Thursday night. We're on TV every week. We're number one on the charts. Your dick doesn't know that. Your dick doesn't know anything. Your dick's got a fucking mind of its own. All it's got to do is fill up with some blood, and it's like, I don't know, I'm busy right now. So you need a little help. You get some Roman pills. You get it in your body so that, your dick gets moved along. Pop it up. Then it's like, well, yeah, I know I'm famous, but guess what? Even famous people, pussy feels really good to them. Getting blowjobs feels really good. Getting any sort of sexual pleasure, I don't care how famous you are, your dick, it wants to come, and it's going to come quick, unless you get the Roman swipes, which you rub on. Wouldn't it be funny to think, like, I would love to get on Leo's yacht, and I just see, like, on his bedside table, like, Roman swipe fucking empty bags, like, yeah, Leo comes quick, too. But both of us, we've got Roman. So we last a little bit longer. We enjoy ourselves. Our partner enjoys themselves. It's good sex all around, and everybody wins. GetRoman.com/Clancy. You get your first month of swipes for just $5 when you do a monthly package. It's GetRoman.com/Clancy. $5 swipes to help you and your dick perform like you're a famous badass. It's Paul Virzi on the Kevin Clancy Show. Now, Paul will be live taping his special this weekend. You can get tickets. He's going to be at Levity Comedy Club. It's the show. It's the place that we just did KFC Radio live. So anybody who was there, anybody who's up from the Rockland County area, you can see Paul not only doing his stand-up, but doing his special. So it's the best of the best, the material he's been curating for a long time now. You can get tickets to see him at West Nyack, Levity Comedy Club. Check out their website. Check out Paul's social media for all his links. We'll also put it here in the description on YouTube, and you can get tickets to see him live after you soak in this interview with a great guy, great combo, good dude. It's Paul Virzi on the Spite Tour. Let's go. What do you want to see me? You care that I had a ham sandwich? It's like, I don't know, motherfuckers care about your ham sandwich. I don't know why, but they fucking do.
They do. No, they really, like, that's the thing. And I was so, like, I was on, it's not dumb, but I was just like, I'm such a stand-up purist.
No,
I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, let's go, hour, toe-to-toe, like, stand-up. I wanted to just be able to fuck with anybody and do better hour after better hour. And I did the album, and then the special did good. And then all of a sudden, I was like, wow, people just give a fuck about podcasts too.
Yeah,
so I was like, I want to do both. So I want to fill the room, and then so that's what it is now.
For sure.
That's really what it is now.
You got to do both.
You got to do both. Yeah.
I wonder. I mean, at some point. Check. 1 2 1 2.
Check 1 2 1 2. Check 1 2 1 2.
Cool. I mean, let's just keep it rolling. Paul Virzi's here on the Kevin Clancy Show. We just started off talking about the game we're in, man, and I feel like it was funny watching stand-up comics because KFC Radio and our thing here at Barstool, we started to get, our niche has been comedy.
Yeah.
Some guys do sports, some guys do pop culture, all that shit. We went into the comedy lane. All the best comics have been coming through here. So I've gotten to know a lot of you guys, gotten to learn, like watch more of it, consume more of it, and watch how the whole industry, as a fan, but now as like a, little like tertiary character, whatever. And watching all you guys catch on to the internet has been kind of funny. Because you guys are so in your, you have this industry, this brotherhood, this fraternity, this bubble, and it's almost like you all learned about the internet at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's like we've been all internet the whole time forever for the last 20 years, and it's like this YouTube thing and like social media, it's fucking big. It's gonna be a big thing, guys. It's like, we fucking know, man.
Yeah, like I said the other day, I go, I didn't drop out of college to be a radio host. I dropped out of college to do stand-up, but now
everyone's a radio host.
Now
man.
I'm like, I gotta learn like camera angles and laptop stuff and all kinds of internet stuff. But it's like we were talking before we started. It's like adapt or die, man. It's like I was one of those guys that like I'm such a stand-up purist, because like I just
the craft and the art,
and I've been at
live,
it for so long, and like it took me 16 years for people to fucking recognize me or care, and then people started booking me, and then the special does great, and then the world shuts down, and everybody's doing Zoom shit, and I'm like, all right, well I'm gonna make a studio in a house.
Yeah, I mean when it's if you finally popped for in-person shows right as the world shut down, that's got to be fucking infuriating.
It was fun. People were hitting me up going, dude, man, like, you started to, I got into every major comedy club in the country, and things were going good. But listen, the hour was I'm proud of it. It holds up. It's respected. Great. And so then I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna work on the next one. But what can I do now? Like all you could do now, like those dudes that just put their feet up and was like, I'm gonna watch movies and get fat for fucking 13 months.
See you later, bro.
It's like you're hurting.
Yeah,
you know,
and you're not,
and you should be.
And you're not like that's not gonna be when the world reopens. If when who knows?
Yeah,
it's not gonna be like, oh, okay, you get your spot back. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
You'll get swallowed up, and the new kid or the person who adapts takes that spot. And like, you're fucking done, man.
No, it's like you gotta. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, and people were either lazy or used it as an excuse to work harder and find out. Like I said, the weakest part of my game was I would come home and I would be like, man, I just did this set. I got these 2 new bits, and my wife would go like, why aren't you on Instagram enough? And I would be like, don't worry about what I'm doing. Like, I'm fucking
Let
working.
me do my work, babe. I don't tell you what to do your job.
I'm working on these new jokes, and then all of a sudden, a comic would be like, dude, man, like you got to put this shit. So then like that's when I got a producer. That's when we started putting clips out, and that's when I started to see numbers go. Yes, 100%.
And all right. So you do a club, right? You do, let's say, a medium-sized club. You're doing like 300 people, right?
Yeah.
You put that shit on the internet, and you might go viral, and you get 250,000.
It's crazy.
Or fucking 1 million if you really pop. And I know it's different though, because there's a difference between clicking and maybe you watch the whole thing, maybe you watch half it, maybe you watch 10 seconds. So you can't count all those views the same way that 300 people or 1,000 people or whatever it is you're doing, they pay money, they leave the house, they go out, they sit there, they choose you for the night, and they laugh out loud. There's nothing that compares to that. But and that's why you always have to do that. I think you guys have, I'm sure, many reasons why you continue to do it. Your own fucking psychosis. Yeah. The stay sharp, all that shit. The electricity of being in person.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
But when it comes down to just like numbers, viewers, audience, ads, money. Yeah. It's funny when you think about it. Like, and this is why I laugh. Like thinking about you guys having this epiphany. Yeah. You sound like my fucking grandma. Like, this internet thing. I guess it's not a fad. Dude. We should use it. It's not going away, Paul.
I'm so bad at it that the other day I was in a hotel room and I called Bobby Kelly. You know Bobby Kelly, right?
Of course.
And I'm on the phone with Bobby and I go, man, I want to watch this UFC fight tonight, but like I don't know where to go and see it. And he just goes, dude, put it on your phone. And I go, how? Like I didn't even realize. Like he's like I didn't realize that I could like get a main event pay-per-view on a phone. I'm like, what bars should I go to? And it's like, yeah, okay, I really need to figure this shit out.
Yeah, dude, you do. But no, you're doing it. I mean, I'm seeing all your clips. I'm seeing all your shit up there. And once you unlock that, and then it's not an either or. They go together.
That's right.
And so it's funny because we're doing the opposite. We've always been internet. Started as a blog, then we did podcasts, now we get into video, and now we're trying to take it to the stage a little bit and never do like a routine, just do our shit
right, do your live show, right.
And to me, that's like, we did one show after Corona, and it was the first time I've ever done a show where I wasn't sweating and nervous, and because when you guys go up on stage, I mean, yes, there are times when you're just doing brand new material, but for the most part, you have your shit ready and you know what's gonna hit and when people are gonna laugh and your strong parts and all that. When you're doing a podcast, we just riff. We don't have anything written or scripted, so it's like, hope this show's good. I have no fucking idea until we do it, So I'm sitting there sweating, and because if you're in a comedy club and you're not getting laughs, you feel like you're bombing, But they're like, yeah, we just want to see you do your show. So it's funny, we're trying to like get to the stage where we're uncomfortable and you guys can do that shit in your sleep. Yeah. And you're coming over to the internet world trying to figure it out. It's like, we're chips in the night there.
Yeah, but I think what you said is true, where it's like, if you do both and that perfect storm of having them mesh like this, the craziest thing was I was just promoting a show and I was just getting stupid in my driveway and I took I told you my son could really shoot, right? And I always joke, I go, he gets it from me. Because I was always like that just small dude in the corner just knocking it down. So I did some stupid thing where I just like shot and I hit a 3 and then I just looked at the camera and I go, hey, I'm going to be and it got got like 10,000. Like I
Yes.
was just like, that?
That, of
like,
course,
I was like,
yes.
that? Like,
but
you know?
you know what you got to do is like you gotta like put yourself in their shoes. Like
Right.
think about the shit that makes you click.
Right.
If you saw some dude just like hit a jumper and then talk to the camera, you're clicking on that. I know who you are. I know what you're into. You know.
Yeah,
and it's natural and it's not all that scripted or whatever. Like that's what works. You know.
Yeah.
How do you are you comfortable watching yourself? Or listening back to yourself?
Now,
all that
like
shit?
now I am because now I am. Like at first, like it took a long time to like watch something. You're always like, oh, why did I, say that or that? I shouldn't have done that or like, dude, you look like a fat piece of shit from the side. Like oh, that stuff.
Yep.
I know
that.
but like now,
Always sitting here like, Justin.
I lost a little weight. I'm always like, oh, my sneakers look good, but I'm a sneaker guy, so
you can always count on the sneakers.
Dude, you
man.
could always count on me having a pair of fresh Jordans, Air Max, Air Force Ones. But no, I'll now I can look and go, okay, this can get better. Like I'll break it down like film, but I actually listen. I'd rather listen than watch.
Yeah.
So I put the phone on the stool, and like I was just in like Omaha, and I was just in Austin, and like so I'm in this weird thing where I'm working on my new hour because I'm shooting it in September, but I'm so happy with the new stuff that I'm like, I might just throw in new stuff in the hour and see what makes it or what doesn't, because that's what keeps me excited.
Yeah.
But when you record it and you listen, you're like, oh man, like I didn't say that in the last show. I'm bad with always listening because I think I could remember, and sometimes I can, but when I'm like, I did say something in the middle of that show, let me just get the recorder and listen, and I'm like, oh my God, that's a perfect tag to this, and then that just builds the thing. So now I'm kind
You
of...
have to in your game.
Yeah.
Listen to yourself back, right? To learn about your delivery, your cadence, how the audience reacted. Like,
Especially
if
'cause
you're
I
not
re-
listening back, you're not going to learn.
Right. Well, I'm a type of comic where they say like write on stage. I write on stage a lot. A lot of my material, a lot of things like, and I'm also moody. So if I'm in a mood, like last night I went up at the Stand and I was just like, I'm gonna just start talking. Like not like a podcast, but like, and I know I'll find the funny in it. But if there's a topic or something comes up that I think is funny, I'm like, let me play.
riff.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Let me play. You know what I mean?
Dude,
So,
that's how you know you're like a veteran of the game.
it took
right?
a while.
'Cause you're
Yeah,
not
listen,
doing that at the age of fucking 22.
Dude,
you
that
know?
took a long time to be
Yeah.
able to like, hey, like I don't know where I'm gonna go. Let's figure this out.
Yeah.
I would never do that at the beginning.
But you know what? It's funny. That's all just about like, you don't do that until 30 years into the game, whatever. Out of like embarrassment, really, right? It's like you would be embarrassed to go up there and just riff and bomb. Is that what would stop you?
Yeah, I think what would happen is like when you're new, you're so afraid of silence and you're so afraid of people not liking you, and you're so afraid of like the ultimate fear is like, oh, that guy sucked, right?
Right.
Now, I did a successful album, and then I did a more successful special, and I'm working on my third one, and I just kind of been in it enough where I embraced the silence. And like, last night there was just like, it was like 85% of the crowd. This is true shit too. 85% of the crowd was loving me. I was doing new stuff. But there was like these like 5, white women who are the absolute fucking worst. Like
It's
white,
tough out here for white women right now. Nobody likes them.
White women in a comedy club that doesn't like you is the hecklers, is the problem, is the putting their, crossing their arms and stuff, and it just is that. Like I'm not. That's a fact.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I've been doing this long enough and many years to know that if a white chick is drunk and doesn't like what you say, that's going to be the problem.
Yep.
It's not going to be some fat
brother,
fucking dude who's drinking. It's not going to be him.
That's not comedy either. That's life, dude.
Yeah.
If there's a white woman who's drunk and doesn't like you, you're gonna hear it.
So there was like just like right in the middle of the showroom, there was like 6 of them, right? And like half of them were like smiling and into me, and then like 2 of them were just. And I'm doing this joke in the new hour about the W. I'm just kind of in a fun way, just talking about how I don't like the WNBA and why. Yeah. And this woman is just like. So then I just lean into it, and I looked at her. I said, "I know you hate me," and I just had fun with it.
Yes,
because that keeps the set fresh for me. Now the old me, a newer comic me, you're never doing that.
No,
in fact, you want to get her to like you.
Right, you're like, why don't you like me?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
You want to.
So that's,
yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
And if you could somehow come into this game with the true don't give a fuck mentality, you think? Here's my question. Is that necessary? Like, do you need to have a period of time where you are a little bit afraid, you do have fear of bombing and fear of embarrassment, or if you could get rid of that and just have that immediately, would that be a good thing or a bad thing?
I feel like you can't get there unless you have the first part.
Yeah.
I feel like you can't.
Right.
You can't get to. I remember one comic saying was just like, something does happen. I think Chris Rock said this, and you always hear this number, but someone said like 10
years.
Mark,
Yeah,
the 10-year mark.
Yep.
And I remember being at like 10 and a half years, and like I was just like, I don't listen. If I have everybody in the room hating me, of course I'm gonna give a fuck.
That's a problem.
Because that
Yeah,
means like
yeah.
that means that somewhere I just went somewhere and it's just like, what are you doing? But I'm talking about like not caring, knowing you're funny, trusting in you're funny, knowing
Yes.
how many sets you've done in that time. So, but you need that.
Is it because you became better? It's probably both, but
Yeah.
is it more that you became better or that you just don't fucking care anymore?
You don't. When you say don't care, too, that's the thing. When people hear you don't care anymore, it's not that you don't care about your art or your craft
Sure.
or what you love. It's that you don't care. Like, I don't care that woman last night's gonna leave not liking me.
Yes.
I truly don't give a fuck.
Right.
Like, I mean,
Whereas
don't give a fuck.
There used to be a time where you'd be like, I want everyone to go home and say, I like Paul Virzi, he's funny, he's good, he's da-da-da.
Right.
And now you're like, you're gonna go home and tell your husband how much you fucking hate me, but I don't care.
I remember I opened for Patrice O'Neal, rest his soul. And I remember when I would open for Patrice, right, at this weekend, we were at Bananas, and I remember he would always make tables walk out, right? Always.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of women, too.
Yeah, I've
He would
always heard this. He would almost do it on purpose,
He
right?
would make
Like-
them walk out, and I'm going, in my mind, I'm going like, why is he doing that, man?
Yeah.
Like, why are people leaving, like this and that? And then I realized that he knew, okay, that those people were never going to be fans anyway. So when he's doing his theater show, those people were never going to be fans. So the goal is to weed out those people and bring the people that love you in. And that's when I realized, I'm like, yeah, so just say it. You know, one of the coolest things I ever saw in a green room on the wall, because when you go into these green rooms,
Fucking legends.
all
Yeah.
over, you see there's always and the Philadelphia Punchline has this really cool picture of Chappelle. He's sitting there, he's got sunglasses on, and he says something like, thanks for having me. And then he said, and to the comedians, just say it, like whatever it is. Like, and I realized it's like, because if you feel it in that moment, even if it's unpopular to some people, if you feel it, and that's the thing, I realized that like, I'm gonna say it because I believe it. I could stand by it after, if you wanna challenge me after the show out in the lobby and say, why'd you say that? I can talk about why I did the joke, why I believe in the joke, and that's when I was just like, that's when things just really started to change. Where I was like, you don't need to like me.
Right.
I want there are people that listen to me that love me, and also, you know, I was very fortunate to have, you know, my best friend and mentor be Burr, because when I would open for Burr would always say that at the beginning, he would say, hey man, good job this weekend, like in 08, 09, he would say, good job this weekend, right? And I'll be like, all right. Man, but he's not talking about my jokes. He's not talking about my... And then people go, yeah, he doesn't really talk about... And then all of a sudden in like 2010, he go, hey man, that bitch you did, So I was like, oh, now he's talking
Give me
about my jokes.
specifics, yeah.
And then all of a sudden in like 2012, we're sitting down eating and he goes, hey man, watching what you're doing right now is a beautiful thing. And then in 2016, people hit me up, yo man, Burr just called you a fucking beast on his podcast. And so he never wanted to give any false hope, the way that good bookers shouldn't either.
Right.
Like if you see somebody and they get the job done, hey, good job, man, I'll give you a chance. But it's the what are you doing, the body of work.
Now, do you think Bill he said that because in 08 he didn't think you were that good yet, or he knew you were that good but just didn't want to give you a...
No,
you know,
he
like
thought...
he waited until you proved it
He
to
thought...
say it?
Dude, he said something to me. I'll never forget this. I had a little baby at home. 2 babies, actually. My daughter was born at the time, so I had like a 3-year-old, 3.5-year-old, a 1-year-old, and I'm in a condo with my
Right,
wife,
the
and
thick of it.
I'm making no money. And I'm on the phone with him one night, and he goes, so dude, you're gonna start selling out clubs, you're gonna get into theaters, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like going, dude, I'm making $400 this week. Like,
I'm
what
not
the fuck
selling
is he?
out a
What is he?
fucking theater.
So what I think happened was, I think when he saw me younger, when he saw me when I was about 6, 7, 8 years in the game, I think he saw, oh, this guy's funny, and this guy can get the job done, and he's got the tools, but what's gonna happen is he's gonna work into more honesty and dig deeper. And then once that happens and the honesty comes, I remember Louis C.K. said something once where he said, when the funny you off stage is on stage.
Yeah.
The funny you, like the person that you are off stage, fucking around with your boys, having a good time.
Natural,
of course, it's
relaxed.
going to be a little exaggerated on
Sure.
stage, but when that person goes on stage, that's when it changes. And I think and that's really when a comedian says finding your voice.
Yeah.
And that's when you just find your voice. And that goes along with not giving, that's under the umbrella of not giving a fuck
fuck,
and all that stuff. And I'm going to
yeah.
go and have fun. And
Right.
when you start bombing, your friends laugh like, oh,
Yeah.
dude, Virzi tried this thing that bomb. That's just because people know.
But it is just funny that all of that you just described hinges upon, I don't want to get embarrassed. You know what I mean? Like that first feeling sticks with, like that's what makes you write better, write
Yeah.
longer, harder, faster, practice. Is like there's a room full of people and I'm going to try to make them laugh. And if they don't laugh,
Yeah.
that is going to be the end of the world. And it
Yeah.
really is funny that it's like, it's not, but it kind of, for you guys, it really is the most important thing.
Well, you know how I knew that I was getting older and better in this game was when a bad set used to take me like 2, 3, 4 days to get over.
Yeah, that would kill me, man.
Now an hour later, I swear to
Yeah,
God, now an
yeah.
hour later, I'm eating
Right.
and like I don't even like. I'll remember, be like, yeah, that didn't go like the way. But it's just you're devastated.
Yeah.
You go home,
That
you're like, yo,
feeling,
should I
like-
do this anymore?
Like I said, when we're doing a little live podcast that I didn't even work, I didn't write it, I didn't work on it. I'm just
Yeah.
like riffing off the top of my head, and people aren't laughing, and I'm sitting there like, I'm gonna think about this for a month straight. This is gonna be in my every time I take a shower, every time I
Yeah.
lay my head down, and that was just something that's one billionth of the work you guys put in to write and
Yeah.
craft jokes, and then, but yeah, that ability, you become like a baseball reliever.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Where it's just
yeah.
like you gotta forget the last one and just like on to the next one because you can't think about all your bombs, all your bad jokes. You'll never fucking think you're funny again.
Yeah, Chris Rock always compares stand-up to boxing, but I compare it. It's funny that you said that, Kev, because I compare it to being a good pitcher. I feel like a good pitcher is going to win most of the time, and a couple times he's going to get shelled. A couple times he's going to give it up, but then you just come out. You know, like a good pitcher. A good pitcher could go like what, 19-4,
Right.
19-3.
Yeah.
Hey man, I'll take that. Like if
For sure.
if those
Yeah.
are my sets in the year after everything, like I'll take that. But sometimes you're going to give up a bomb,
Yeah.
and you just got to look at it and smile and go. But see, that's the beautiful thing about stand-up is it's a one art form. It's the one art form. It just doesn't lie.
Yeah.
You know, you could
right.
be
those
anybody.
people are
like-
that's why I think that's why, you know, I keep alluding to this where it's like it's their opinion that matters so much to you, but it kind of does because you get enough people in a room and they will be the honest like dictators of if that's funny or not, you know.
Yeah, like-
if they're laughing and you know this woman's old, this man's young, these people are foreign, these people are this, people are that. Get
Yeah.
enough of them in a room and you do your thing. And it's like if they're all laughing, it's funny. And if they're not, it's not.
Yeah.
It's like the most honest thing there is.
Yeah, so then when I see people do like man on the street shit, or I see people like, you know, dress funny, do something silly, and all of a sudden that gets the likes. Not that
drive you crazy?
But you know what though? I respect it because if that's getting them followers, like I never knock anybody's hustle,
Mm-hmm.
and I never like if doing wild shit and getting you, whether it's you're a YouTuber on TikTok, if you fill clubs and you're making money for yourself, look, man,
Bro,
you
it's
did
capitalism.
something. Yeah,
It's
it's like
like
it's capitalism.
the-
like I
the
can't,
market
I can't,
dictates.
I can't hate on that.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I really can't. So like, I'll never
and
knock anybody, man.
adapt or die, you know what I mean? It's like if you're, and it's not like things have moved away from stand-up comedy. People are still going to that. But if you used to do this, and that's what got you tickets or money or whatever, and the market moves this way, like
Yeah.
that's not the TikToker's fault. That's not the YouTuber's fault. He's like, this is what I do, man.
If anything, smart people will look and go, okay, well, this TikToker or this YouTube person's getting a younger audience, and my audience is eventually going to age. So, like, well, yeah, like, let me get in front of them. Like,
Yeah.
I see what, like, my 12-year-old son's looking at.
Right.
Dude, these kids are making millions of dollars just, like, doing, like, their own, like, game show
Yes.
in their backyard with a pool.
Sure,
and this
man.
kid's got, like,
And
a
that's-
million subscribers.
That's what's annoying too is like, yeah, listen, there's some TikTokers who are a fucking 16-year-old kid. He's got floppy hair and abs and he kisses at the camera. And that kid making fucking money, yeah, fuck that. That's annoying.
Yeah.
Some of these people, man, what they can do,
Yeah.
the edits they can make on their phone to make cool videos and pictures and stop motion fucking, you know, like there's talent there. You
Yeah.
know, some people aren't, but there's a lot of talent there. Short form comedy, cool
Yeah.
edits, whatever. And it's like, you know, it's not just because you don't like it doesn't
Yeah.
mean that it's not that there's no validity to it. It's like I can understand maybe if they do some TikTok shit and then get booked as like a stand-up comic in the theaters that you deserve or whatever.
Right.
But it's like if I can, you're just mad because I can sell out the same building. You know what I mean? Because like I feel like we get that a little bit. Like we'll sell out Caroline's. We're not like stand-up comics, It's like, but I don't pretend to be one. I'm just like, we're doing a live podcast, and it's your stage to do comedy. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just here to do a podcast.
Hey, don't get mad at me because I'm just using a venue.
It's really that's all it is. It's like the same walls, and that's what pisses people off.
Yeah.
But if that's what people want, like you see the hubbub like last month with Addison Rae and the UFC. Addison Rae, the TikToker chick.
I know that.
She's got 100 million followers.
It's like
big money numbers,
Yeah.
And they were gonna have her just do a quick little interview with Dustin Poirier because they're from the same hometown, and all of a sudden it was, I have a journalism degree. I deserve that. Why, she doesn't deserve it. She doesn't do this. I've like studied in school for this. I deserve it. It's like. You deserve what you fucking, like the market determines that. If this girl's so fucking popular and that well-known has that many fans, then like the UFC is going to try to get down with her to get that new market and get the
you can't be mad at somebody, you can't be, I mean, he's obviously, that journalist can't start dancing and like shaking around on a TikTok, but
maybe you should. I don't fucking know. Honestly, I really believe that like, maybe not dancing around, but it's like if you told me what's more valuable right now, going to school for a broadcast communications degree or spending 4 years just like fucking around on Instagram and TikTok until you find a niche and build a following, I would tell you that. Save your money and use your time wisely. You know?
I mean, and that's the perfect example. These kids don't have to go to college. Like these kids are millionaires. They're like my son is watching this kid who's like 26 years old, and he's giving away weekly like $100,000,
like fucking Ferraris and
like
shit.
They're giving away like 100. Yeah, and I'm just going, what?
What would your life have looked like if you were, let's say 19 years old?
Yeah,
and you were a millionaire.
I'll be honest with you, Kev. I don't know if I'd be here, man.
You'd be dead.
I was wild. I
feel like everybody from our generation says that too.
Dude, I was wild. Man. I was getting arrested, DUIs.
Oh, were you?
Oh, dude.
Okay.
Oh, dude.
Because I had reckless times, but I never took it that far.
Oh, dude. I would be like. I would do this thing where I would be at a party. I'd be at a keg party, and then I would get naked, right? And I would get naked at a keg party.
You were that guy?
Not always.
Okay.
That's the thing.
Okay.
I wasn't like always the naked guy.
You were known as the naked guy.
I wasn't known as a naked guy, but I was known that like if you dared me, so I would do this thing where if it was raining, right? You're gonna love this actually, because I know you love baseball. I'd be hammered, right? And I would always have to win keg stands.
Okay.
I've actually never told this on the podcast.
Let it rip, man.
So
how long are we doing? Like
so I did a keg stand.
Like a minute and a half. What are we doing here?
I think it was like the record was like 80 or 81, and I got to like 90 something, and I was like really gulping, dude.
Yeah.
So I'd be hammered drunk. I'd be hammered drunk. I'd get
and what
naked
age is
and
this?
Shit. This is I would say this is probably 17 to 22. I was wild, fucking wild, dude. And I would get naked when it was raining, and I would go out into the yard. And I would steal an imaginary second base, and then I would have an argument with an ump that didn't exist, right? So I would go out, and I'd be leading, and my friends were just watching. Yeah. Like, I'm glad there's no cell phones at this time.
I'm devastated there's not.
And,
so you're sitting there,
I'm like, oh no, I'm taking my lead. I would even go back.
I was gonna say, it's like an imaginary pickoff.
I would go back.
Are you diving into first?
No, I would just go back with the legs. So I would just get back, and you know. So I would sit there, and my friends would be like, oh, I don't know when he's going. Is he going?
Is he going?
Is he going? Like literally, right? And then I would just get a lead, and then I would kind of put my arms down like Ricky.
Yeah.
Right? And then I would just fucking turn and go.
And your friends are like, he's going.
Like everybody, right? And I would for some reason, the base was a lot longer than it really would be. And dude, I would like slip and slide head first, right? It kind of, sometimes it hurt the. Yeah, and I was hammered, so I didn't, but I was like just, I was rubbing against the thing. And I would get there, and I would always be called out. And what are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Would you slide into something? Would there be something?
No, nothing.
Base? It was nothing.
No, there was nothing there. It was just because how could there? But they would just go, Paul, go in the backyard.
Right.
I think you got to steal second.
Right.
So I would slide into nothing. Always call me out, and I would be out there for a good minute or two. And I'd be like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? What are you, my hand beat it. And my friends would be like, I think he beat it. And, but I did some shit now.
Dude.
Look,
that is
that
is one of the better drunk hanging with my boys moments.
Yeah.
And you know what it is? You know what? I don't know. I'm sure girls do some silly shit, but that's why being a guy is the best.
Yeah,
That's
and you also
like
incorporate
the
sports.
best.
Like
Yeah.
I incorporated sports, and stealing a base is one of my, like, if you want to talk about baseball plays, stealing a
One of the most
base,
electric
I think
things.
stealing a base and robbing a home run are the two best things in baseball. That's really what,
I would say also gunning somebody out.
gunning somebody out from the outfield.
Like a Vladimir Guerrero,
Yes.
from like, or like even better, like from the right field corner to third base. Like,
when it doesn't hop.
oh,
I mean,
just
a hop
on a
is great,
fucking
but on a
seed,
rope.
like when
yeah.
the third baseman's almost like, oh shit, this is
Yeah.
gonna reach me, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I'm with you though. There's little individual plays in sports. I mean, like, sorry to bring it up, but the Dave Roberts steal is like one of the best fucking.
Listen,
it's
man,
like that is
that
the
sparked,
play, you know.
That sparked a lot of things. So, but
And like, think about, that's why I love sports, because, I played growing up, but never anything in college or anything even serious in high school. So never reached a point where there was like a real pressure or anything. you
Yeah.
know? And there's a lot of pressure in all sports, and there's a lot of pressure being at the plate, at the mound, whatever. Being a pinch runner on first in
Yeah.
the playoffs, when you know you have to get to second, and the whole stadium
Knows.
and the whole world and the opposing team knows,
Yeah.
and you got to make sure you get a lead, but don't get picked off. And then when it's like, you're looking at Mariano Rivera being like, I'm going, motherfucker.
I'm going.
And then you get there.
and then you get there.
And you beat him, you beat Posada, you beat Jeter on the tag, you beat everybody. And then, base hit, you
Tell
score.
me you
It's
didn't
like,
get the chills when Willie Mays Hayes stole second in fucking Major
the
League.
best.
And
Better than the home runs,
and
better than
Charlie
the
Sheen.
scenes, yes.
Charlie Sheen goes, come on, Willie. You're like, oh, dude, this is like, so I don't even know why I would steal second drunk. I don't know where it first came about. I think one time I just took off and slid, and then it turned into that. But like, I look back now, man, and I got a son and a daughter, and I'm like, dude, I did some things that like, dude, I'd get hammered. I remember one time at college, I funneled vodka, dude. I could have died, man. I did some wild shit.
yeah,
So,
and
and then
people
all of a sudden,
driving, people drinking, people fighting, people falling over, falling down stairs.
I was never an angry.
like-
The thing with me is I was never an angry drunk. I never changed. I never did
Yeah.
that. Like I didn't have
I'm
those.
so grateful about myself that I'm that same way.
Yeah,
A lot
that's
of
a real
people, a lot of people will
characteristic
tell
of an
me that
alcoholic.
I don't. Yeah.
Like you see a dude that just change. You ever see a dude
Yeah, they
just
flip the
change and they're
switch,
like,
the
what? You're like,
demons
and
come out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's somebody that like is whatever they call it, allergic to alcohol.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm not fucking with that guy anymore.
Right.
I
That's
never
why I'm
got
happy to be an Irishman. I'm just like
Yeah.
I rarely drink anymore, and I definitely don't like rage anymore.
Right.
But when I did, people would be like, we don't even know if you're drunk or not. We can't like even
Yeah.
tell. Like I would wake up in the morning and I'd like see my roommate and I'd be like, oh, like what's up, man? Like I didn't catch you last night. Like how you doing? He's like, bro, we watched the whole Knicks game together. What are you talking about? And I was like, oh, word? We did. He's like, I didn't even know you were drunk, man. I was like, blacked out, man.
You hold it together like that.
Yeah, and probably not anymore, but in my prime, it was like, I don't even know why I would drink then. I was like, what am I doing? I'm just wasting money and
Yeah.
time, but I'm happy I'm not the alternative where it's like, yeah, you know the guy who was like, you'll be the one to fight, or you're gonna be the one to puke, or you're the only one who gotta
Yeah.
like watch with the girls, or whatever it was. Like, oh my fucking God. But
Yeah.
Where'd you grow up?
So I moved a lot. I was born in Yonkers. I was always like a Westchester guy. Then for junior high, I was in like the East White West Harrison area.
Okay, but
Silver Lake.
still all New York,
But
right? Like,
yeah, always New York.
yeah.
But then for high school, I was up in Dutchess County
Oh, okay,
for
it's a
5
little
years,
further.
from 8 to 12. It was a little further. It was like an hour and a half.
I say that Westchester County was the underage drinking capital of like the world for a
I
period
think
of time.
I think like an hour north
Does it
of
go
Manhattan.
north too? Yeah.
Yeah, it was just like it was. But I'm glad that I was drinking. I shouldn't say it like not like happy I did, but I'm glad that my craziness was like 16
Younger.
to 21, 22.
Yes.
Because then I started doing comedy and I kind of buckled down.
got it out
Me
of
and my
your system a
wife
little
have
bit.
been together since like dated until got married. Dated for 4 years in my mid 20s.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that like the nuttiness happened then.
Yeah.
So now when I see guys get hammered, or I see guys get naked, or I see guys fucking take off their clothes and like act, and chug a beer and scream and slam the can down.
Stop talking about Bert Kreischer, man. Stop talking about.
Does he slam beers down? No, but like when I see guys do that, I'm just like, I was doing that shit. Like
When you were supposed to, when you were a kid.
yeah, like,
that's when you're a
like,
clown.
oh, did you hear about so and so whipped out his thing? And I'm just
Yeah.
going like, I was doing that. Like, but I think
old news.
I think me having a family and kids and kind of like being where I'm at now, and I think listen, man, not everybody is at that maturity.
Yeah,
at the,
but that's like when do all your immaturity when you're supposed to be immature, I think is great.
Right.
I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you if you're 15 years old you should be getting drunk, but you should be getting drunk. I mean, like we were in bars on North Avenue in New Rochelle at the age of like 15.
Yeah.
I knew kids who had fake IDs going to bars when they were in like 8th grade.
I was getting
I waited a
pictures at
couple
16.
more years. What?
Pictures of beer at 16.
And it was awesome. Like
Yeah,
there was a strip of bars on North Avenue. By the time I was there, it was like Scholars and O'Brien's and Catch. Across the street from a police station. Literally the whole fucking like the whole squad was there. And we're walking in there. I had my brother got a fake ID that it said he was in, I think he was born in like 1976 or something. That's how like old it needed to be. And then, but he looks a lot like me. So once he got like a license, I think he said he lost it, got a replacement one, and just handed that to me. So I never had a problem getting in anywhere from like the age of, I guess I was like mid-teens. And we were doing all that shit.
Yeah.
Being in bars at that age is like, when I got to college, I would tell, nobody had been. They were all like house parties and shit. And they're like, you've been in bars for several years now. But I liked it. It was like I liked who I kind of became because of that. Like I knew how to handle myself, knew how to drink, knew how to be out in bars, knew all that shit, got all the dumb stuff done. And there was a lot of dumb stuff, stuff that I'm not proud of, stuff that's funny and harmless, but but done,
Same thing, man. Like, we did a lot of stupid shit, man. We would do stupid shit that I'm not proud of.
Yeah.
And things
What's
that
the
I
most
was
like dangerous thing you look back, like, we dodged a bullet on that one?
Dude, man, we would like break into cars, dude, and we would like just do like, and I remember one time there was like this outdoor bar, and it was like nighttime, and I'm like, I wonder if we can go and rob it in the middle of the fucking night.
Oh, you crazy
and
ball.
and I'm like, dude, if we can go out and get those bottles and do it. And I remember like we just like kind of were like testing and seeing, and alarms went off and cops came, and I just remember like hearing like one of my friends' mothers go, yeah, man, somebody tried breaking into the thing in the park, and they're saying that if they catch him, they're going to make an example of him. And I remember being in the house, and I was on the deck, and I was just like, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm going like, and I was always, honestly, respectful to my elders, a nice kid, nice to my teachers. I was always nice, but then I just had this like, I'll do that shit.
I'll
go into ShopRite and steal.
And you know why that jives? Because it's like you weren't doing that to be disrespectful, or be an asshole. You're doing that to be like,
yeah, I'm doing that to be like, dude, I'll go.
It's still stupid. Don't get me wrong.
I'll go take those bottles. And listen, we didn't like break in and get anything, but like just the fact that I was like, oh, Paul's going out there like the cool kid, and it was just such stupid shit, man. It really was like stupid shit, and I'm glad, like I said, glad that I never got into some serious trouble, because I know people that like we're criminals. You know what I mean? Like that. What I was doing, we weren't criminals. We were drinking. We were drinking and having fun and doing stupid shit that you're not proud of. But like, nothing. But here's the thing. Going back to what you were saying about being on North Street and doing all that stuff. There were no phones then.
Yeah.
There were no cell phones, and there were no YouTube then.
Yeah.
So like now, if a kid 17 starts puking in a bar, that's everywhere.
Yeah.
So
and
like,
that shit gets shut down immediately.
And then the bar gets shut down, and then you're everywhere, and then your parents are. So it's more of like. Now I think I can tell my son, be like, look, you go out and you do some stupid shit, it's going to be recorded.
Yes.
There
used to be a little don't ask, don't tell. It's like everybody knew there was underage drinking there.
Yeah.
But, they didn't know about, there was no reports of anybody dying, getting hurt, anything bad. So it was just like, all right, I'm sure there was guys on the take, the bar pays off the cops or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Now you just can't, even if you wanted to. You couldn't do it. It's like, I would listen. I'm a cop. I'd be like, I'd love for you to pay me off, and I'll look the other way. But, when the cell phone video comes out.
No, like all of these like crime groups and gangs, where are they having meetings? Like you just can't. You're just fucking in the sewers and shit. Like there's no.
It's hard to be a criminal these days, man.
Dude, like forensic files, DNA,
man,
all that shit.
I watched some shit the other day.
All that shit.
The craziest shit. This guy. He like left his semen at the crime scene, but they still had no idea. And then 25 years later, they matched it to some people who did 23andMe. Because it was like,
wow.
It used to be, your DNA has to be in the system if you were a criminal and you were in the system for something else, Now you just got people willingly giving DNA.
His DNA, he raped a woman, is that right?
Raped a woman, left his DNA. This is like many, many years ago. They ran it through the system, like no matches, right?
Right, I'm sorry, I don't know why I thought he just like jerked off before leaving.
It was just a burglary, and I just cracked one
Before
out.
he left, he just cranked one out and left it everywhere, and then wanted to see. Like, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah, of course.
But then, like 30 years later, they matched to his parents. They were like, this is some match, so it had to have come from these two people. And they looked and they found like these are his offspring.
Wow.
This one's too young, would not have been able to commit a crime like this. This one's too old, like would have been dead by then. Like it's got to be this guy. They found where he lives. They drive, follow him around until he throws a cigarette out the window. They picked that up and it was a match. Boom, done. 30 years later.
Wow.
Like fucking. I mean, and that dude has probably, for the first 10 years of his life, he's probably looking over his shoulder every day. Is today the day I'm going to get caught? When you're like 25 years in, you're like, I got away with that shit, He's probably not even thinking of it. And then, bam, you're done. Jail for life. It's fucking awesome.
What I learned, too, about that shit, Kev, is that, like, many, not a few, many people have been put in jail wrongfully. Like, and I mean, did you ever see The Unreal Dream?
No.
Dude, The Unreal Dream is one of the most brutal documentary, well, not brutal, but sad, where this guy and his wife go to dinner. They come home, he tries to have sex with her, and she's kind of like, no, I'm not in the mood, right? So he's going to work early in the morning, he writes her a note, and he's like, you made me feel rejected last night, you made me feel like shit, blah, blah, blah. He goes to work, there's a 4-year-old son, there's a 4-year-old son in the house. Between like the hours of like an hour after he left the night, she's beaten to death, like bad in the bed, bad. And the son was 4 and he just remembers, right? So they see the note, they fucking say it's this guy. He's like, no, dude, I was at work.
Nightmare.
This fucking guy, yeah, it's like the scariest. This guy goes to jail. His son's getting older. Her side of the family's telling the son, as he's visiting the dad, your dad did this, your dad killed your mom. He's saying, I never did it, I never did it. People in jail are like, we know when people say they didn't do it, and we know when people didn't do it, and this guy didn't do it.
Yeah.
And then finally the son has a son, and now this guy's a grandfather, and the son finally just goes to the dad and goes, I just don't want you in my life anymore. I don't want you in your grandson's life anymore. And like this guy is like devastated. He's like 30 years in, okay? He's laying in bed and he goes, I just gave it to God. I just gave up. I was done. And then the Innocence Project, long story short, they found a piece of cloth in the backyard. And they fucking tested
modern day, they found it still there all these years later?
Like, no, I think it was, I don't know.
They had already collected
I
it
think
back
they
then
collected it, but I think it might have been a little later. I don't think it was all these years, but they had something. And then they checked it, and they found it, and it matched back to another guy. And the guy was either in jail for something else, and it came out that the guy confessed. This guy gets out. Good-looking guy, white hair, but like good-looking guy, like he obviously fucked, but like did it. Now he works with the Innocence Project. I reached out to the dude, and he got back to me. I was just like, dude, I gotta tell you. I was like, I gotta just tell you something. No, I didn't even ask for an interview. I just go, dude, I just watched your story. That was one of the most, like the shit you went through. I'm sorry you went through that. That was remarkable. And he was just like, thanks, Paul. We had a really great team. And then at the end of the doc, you see him and his son and his grandson, and they're walking and they're happy, and like the whole life just came. And like I was just like, but I like, how many guys have done decades that didn't do it? Well, and they're going, I didn't do it. And everyone's going, yeah, you didn't do it.
Everybody didn't do it.
Yeah, everybody didn't do it.
You just learn how often cops are trying to just get a conviction, close the case.
And we tell the family we're going to get the guy, and
then the DA's happy, the public's happy. It's like whatever.
Actually, dude, like you said, that's a night. That's actually
that is a living
what's
nightmare.
More of a nightmare than being in the courtroom and saying we the jury find the defendant guilty,
and you're just like,
you get
I
sentenced
swear
to like
fucking God, guys. I swear it fucking wasn't me, guys.
I don't know how they don't.
Yeah.
Like, you know the way you're like,
they just like
if I was if I was OJ and didn't do it, let's just say, I'd be like, well, hell no, whoa. I'm my mother. I'm my mother.
Right.
Like, I'm Italian. I would start saying all kinds of, dude, I swear to God, my mother's life.
Dude,
but you can't. Then it's contempt and
that's probably you're broken at that point too. That it's even getting to this verdict. And
I'd look at the jury and be like, I swear, it's not
guys, sit down, have a beer with me. I swear to God.
Look at me. Do I look like I could sever someone's head? I mean, it's nuts. It's fucking nuts. I would never do something like that.
I cannot think of, short of, if you're talking about in the world of crime, like, I think something happening to your family is the worst thing.
Yes.
Like, you come in and kill your family, that's the worst thing that could happen. Other than that, like, something like that for you, where it's like, and then your family bails on you, and they think you're a fucking murderer. And then honestly, it's like, I'm sure your love for your son and grandson takes over, but you know, I get out of jail and I'm looking at you and you're like, you're the guy, you fucking bailed on me. You're like, you know, you didn't believe me. You shunned me for 20 years or whatever.
Yeah,
That's not easy to just like get back together like happy family, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just like, fuck this system, man.
Yeah.
I can't, I mean, it bothers me like just in everyday life if somebody doesn't believe me about something, you know what I mean? Just like a little, like you're arguing over something, a sports stat or a fucking something you said. I swear to God, I fucking did it or didn't do it, you know? And if on that scale, I'd kill you, I'd kill myself, you know.
Yeah, you know, that's got to be actually like a living nightmare to be looked at as, because you're almost looked at as a leper, even though, but it's that you're a killer.
Yeah.
So it's like not a sick leper, but like, oh, dude, that you just killed a family member of mine.
People
and everybody,
think that you slaughter humans.
I couldn't imagine what it would be.
And it turns out you didn't do any, like you're just like, no, I just went to work that day.
Yeah, like think about this. You know when you wake up hungover and you want to kill yourself?
Yeah, oh sure.
Like you just wake up, like there's nothing worse than when like the blackout hangover takes, for me now, you know, it takes probably, I would say, a good day and a half to 2 days.
Easy,
like
bro.
if you
I
get
drink on a Saturday, I'll see you Wednesday. Dude.
Yeah, exactly, right?
That feeling when I would wake up at like 5 a.m. And I'd be like, my cotton mouth, and I gotta pee, and I'd be like, oh, yep, this one's bad. I'm gonna kill myself, you know?
Yeah,
like,
oh no.
Like there's levels to your hangover, and you wake up.
The funniest thing is the eyes open, and it's almost like you're assessing the damage.
Yep.
You're assessing.
Takes a moment to realize.
And you're going, oh my God.
You're reaching for water, and you're like,
happened?
Oh wait, yeah, no, this is gonna be crippling. You know, like
This is
I'm
gonna
gonna
be
die.
bad.
This is not gonna be like I just need like a bacon, egg, and cheese in a shower.
Yeah.
This is like I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna stay in this dungeon for the next 38 hours. You know.
Yeah.
Brutal.
And hopefully I die, right?
Yeah.
But with that, in jail, even though you don't have the physical thing, every day you wake up, it's like you're almost hoping that it's a dream.
Yep.
And then you're just, and I think maybe that's why it's called the unreal dream, but like waking up every day going, oh my God, like my son, the love of my life, thinks I murdered his mother and I didn't. And like every day it's like that hangover. I'd rather have the pain hangover and be like, oh shit, I did too many shots at playing pool last night.
Bro, I mean, I have all sorts of crippling fucking emotional shit from just going through a divorce where I was like, what have I done wrong? And what I should have done this, I should have done that. What about my kids? What about her? And that was like a bad situation, but it was just a divorce, not a fucking murder situation. You know what I mean? Like, and you're supposed to just, and then you're on the inside and you got to like harden up and live, you know. Have you ever seen the movie Shot Caller?
No.
It's with the dude who played Jaime Lannister in Game of Thrones, if you watch that.
Okay.
So he's like, he goes out to dinner, drives home, had like 2 glasses of wine, like is laughing and looks over his shoulder, hits somebody, they die. He has enough in his system that it was like technically drunk driving. Had some asshole like DA or whatever wanted to make an example of him for drunk driving. He goes to jail and it's like he ends up joining like the Aryan Nation in there to like stay afloat. You know what I mean? Like you got to pick one of these gangs or you're gonna die. It's a little bit dramatized, but he ends up becoming a bad guy because he like had to be, and he eventually gets out. And it's like, yeah, man, I'm not the same anymore. I'm not like I'm not just the same dude anymore. I had to do some things in there because of this fucked up, corrupt system. It's like that is nightmare shit to me.
Well, you know what they say, and I'm thinking about that. Like if you go to jail, and I learned this on like watching that Inside shit. Mm-hmm. If you go to jail, you got to pick a.
Yeah.
And if you don't, like one guy didn't want to, and he wanted to like, he was like, I'm not picking, I'm friends with everybody. And like, then
everybody kills you.
They called him out, and like one guy was slapping him. He's like, you're with us. And it's like, dude, that's a nightmare.
Bro,
so forget the fact that your family.
I don't do good in jail. I'm not, a guy like me is not surviving in jail. We play this, we'll do it later, answer the internet. We ask all these questions. Would you rather this or that?
Yeah.
Anytime there's one side is jail, I'm like, whatever the other side is.
Jail and military, I just can't fuck with. I'm just not built that way.
Dude, the people who willingly join the military, it blow my mind. God bless them. You're fucking heroes. You're amazing.
Yeah.
I could never be like, yeah, I'm gonna go do this. It's fucking nuts.
I'm doing a bit in my hour right now where, and this is true, like I'm talking about this in my hour where I was in San Antonio and this soldier comes up to me. And this dude's got, like, I mean, dude, this guy was on a fucking level of toughness that when I tell you I felt like a pussy, he had shrapnel scars, burns, and he came up, he goes, Paul, man, thanks so much for coming out, man. It's so funny. I go, no, man. I go, thank you for what you do. I go, dude, you know, like, I do what I do because of you guys. He goes, no, man. He goes, well, I'm just ready to die for the country, man. I'm ready. He's like, I'm ready to die for the country right now. Any second, I'm ready to die for this country. He's like, you know, are you ready to die for the country? And I was like, nah, dude, not at all.
I'm like, bro, it's not like 1942 anymore.
Like, you don't want me out there. Like, I'm a liability.
Like this one? You want to die for this one? It's not that great anymore.
Like this, but this dude was truly ready.
Yeah.
Like, truly, like, ready to die. Like, that whole, like, live free. I said something like this dude was like, live free or die. And I'm like, I'll stay captive.
Absolutely.
Like, slide rice under the door, kick the shit out of me once a week.
I'm a survivalist, man. I'll join the other side. You guys are going to win? Okay, I'm going on that side now.
Kevin will be a traitor.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, dude, there's a level of
of
toughness, man.
that I just don't have, man.
Like those guys are like, I'll do 10 years and not rat out, and I wouldn't rat, but I would have to decide if I'm gonna just fucking I think what I would do. I think this is what I would do. I think instead I don't think I could kill myself in jail. I think what I would do is if I got like 2 decades and I didn't do it, I would try like just running. And like if they were like, dude, we got you in the tower, I would just try like running in a zigzag line.
They're like, Paul's trying to escape again today.
Paul,
third time this
you're
week.
You're never gonna get past the barbed wire, and I'm just like, I would do like some shit like that, like to just try.
That
but,
Shawshank shit, man. I'm working out. I'm coming up with a plan. I mean, prison for me.
Can they stop playing that movie though? That movie is so good. They're making me not like it. It's a great movie. Shawshank Redemption is a phenomenal movie, but if you keep playing it the way you're playing it, I can't fuck with it anymore.
Are you watching like regular TV still? You're a big cable guy.
It's hard.
Because as you say that, I just realized I don't see that much anymore. It's never like, oh shit, Shawshank's on TNT.
TV's like dead, man.
It's crazy.
It's other than sports.
Well, it's adapted. It's not dead, but it's like
right,
the idea of flipping around and the TV guide and all that shit. Like you put on what you want to put on.
Like I'll watch something streaming. Obviously, sports. Like I did lay down in bed at night and watch the Olympics when I was going to bed. Like I would watch the rerun of it late at night.
Sports and news are the only things that I'm gonna really
I used to watch like Shark Tank. Like sometimes I would just try to see what inventions or what people were coming up with. But no, man, I don't really.
It's funny. It's all streaming platforms.
My hours, like if I'm not on the road, I'm home with my kids, and then I try to watch stuff. But I'm more of like if I get into it though. It's a binge.
Yeah. I mean, I'll you get me into a show and I'll blink and I'll be like, I did 3 seasons.
Did you see that
in like
horror
2 days.
movie series on Netflix? That
Which one?
Fright Street or
Fear Street? Yeah.
Did you watch all 3 of those?
I didn't watch all of them yet.
So
it's good.
Dude, my wife and family right now, they're at the house we get in the ocean. Like we go down to the ocean, down by the shore this time in August, right? And they go for 2 weeks, but the first week.
Where do you go? Jersey or something?
Yeah, LBI.
I go to the ocean?
Oh, yeah. I go down to the water? Yeah, you know the water with waves?
We go in the summer, we go to the ocean. You go to the Jersey Shore, you fucking weirdo.
People put boats in it? No.
The big pool. The wavy pool thing with the sand in front of it.
You remember Jaws? One of those. No. So yeah, we go down to the Jersey Shore like kind of this time in August.
Yeah.
My mother-in-law takes my kids for the first week. And then we go, same house, we go for the next week. But my wife is down there with them now, and I just have stuff that I'm doing this week and stuff, so I'm gonna go down next week. So I'm home alone, and I got my dog. I got the animals.
I love it.
I like it for like 3 days, but now it's getting weird.
Agree.
Now I'm like fucking walking, like it's like me and the dog and the cat. And I'm like,
the garbage is piling up and shit. It's like, what's going on here?
Just ordering takeout.
Yeah.
So I put on this horror movie, right? And I'm just watching it, and I got so fucking. There was like a 5-minute moment where I got so scared. I swear to God, I paused it. Because my cat jumped off a couch, and I go, what the fuck, right? And I'm alone, right? And I'm like, I live in a suburb, like nothing's gonna happen, and like, and I'm literally, like, dude, I don't have ammo in my gun, So my cat jumped, and I fucking yell, I'm like, so I just put the shit on pause. I checked every door in my house. I checked every window.
Yeah, bro, you're not made for prison. You're right.
Oh,
if the cat can scare you during the horror movie, you ain't right.
Like,
you got a gun, that's cool. He makes you tough, but that's it, man.
Yeah,
that's
man, I'm not. So I'm with you, dude. I'm not. I could listen. I'll make the people laugh.
Yeah,
I'll do that, but I'm not.
Well, so what I love, man, is like if you already knew Paul, if you knew Paul, you already know this, and I hope in watching just this bit right here, you get to know him a little bit. Like totally normal guy, funny guy, same upbringing as a lot of us, and that's why I love how open you were about deep mental health shit that you went through, and we get a fraction of that. Because we're open about it, me and Feidelberg on my other show, but we haven't gone through anything like you did, but just like little struggles, and even bringing that stuff up, I've heard people, guys, be like, thanks for doing that, because so you went through a bad bout of depression, right? Like down bad, couldn't fucking get out of it, spiraling out,
bad, man,
like hiding in the guest room, missing some comedy spots, right?
Yeah, bad,
and I just feel like, I didn't grow up as a particularly like macho household or whatever, but there's just something like if you grow up in this era as a guy, you just don't like know or learn or get taught how to handle this shit and how to go through your emotions and how to speak up about it. And, you know, you don't have to be crazy or you don't have to go through something crazy traumatic. It can just hit the, you know, the most average normal of guys.
Yeah, and what hurt me is because I am normally like a positive, happy person. So that's why, you know, it hit me so hard. But what I learned, and dude, the amount of people that reached out, I talked about it in my first special, but the amount of people that reached out to me and going like I'm talking from all over the world, man. Like Ireland, Czech Republic, like obviously United States, but people go and do things. But like what people don't understand is, I don't want to say it's bitch shit, but it's stronger to say it. A lot of guys, it's kind of like keeping it in. It's like, look, man.
It's not easy, but it's like.
No, it's like if you're mentally ill, listen, man, depression, anxiety, OCD, those are signs of mental illness. Now, everybody has a level of that, right? But sometimes it goes up. And I went through this bout in 2016 I didn't think I was going to get out of. Now I kind of, when I feel it coming, I'm like, oh shit, like, you know, sometimes, you know, I deal with it. I did go on stage a lot during that. I missed a couple of shows, but there were like out-of-body experiences. I remember being in a Hartford, Connecticut Funny Bone, and I remember there's like 240 people there, and I'm in a full-fledged panic attack, out-of-body experience, like I'm standing next to myself.
Still just doing your comedy.
And I'm killing.
Yeah.
So I remember seeing this table laughing, and they're like looking and laughing, and they're crying, I'm killing. And I'm in a full fucking blown, like these people don't, like slow motion, like out of body next to myself shit. And then I got convinced that I had illnesses. So then I would go for all these checkups and like I had doctors going, dude, you don't have that.
Yeah.
You don't have that. Yeah. Like, yes, I do. So I'm telling fucking doctors.
Right.
I tell dick jokes. And I'm telling doctors who studied for fucking 20 years, no, man, you're missing something. Something's wrong.
I heard
and
you
it just
on,
spiraled.
was it with Sickler? Did you
Yeah,
go on Sickler? Yeah, because you were saying you went to like a neurologist.
Everything.
Because you were convinced you had MS or something, right?
Everything.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, so it's something with my body because I'm getting this feeling, I'm getting that feeling, and then I'm like, there's a brain tumor, and there's something, and all of these different things.
Because there's actually something comforting if there was a thing.
Because
you know, it was like, you don't want to hear you have a brain tumor. But it's like, okay, but now I know I have the brain tumor. It's like, let's get the brain tumor out. Or let's, like, here's the medicine. Here's the treatment.
Right.
When there's something tangible that the doctor says, yes, this is causing it, I feel like some sort of relief. When it's just like, no, bro. It's just like, it is your brain. It's not a tumor, it's just your brain.
No, I'm like, I literally told the doctor, I go, I'm having tightness in my head and I'm getting dizzy on stage. I've been doing this for a long time, that doesn't happen. And they're like, no, Paul, that's anxiety, man. Like, that can do it. And I'm going, anxiety doesn't make your head tight.
Yeah.
And they're like, yes, it
does. That's
like,
been...
Because what people don't understand about anxiety is, anxiety, and this is the craziest thing about it, so if this can help anybody, I hope it does, but if you, let's just say, that you, and this is fucking wild to say, but let's just say that you were obsessed, right? You were obsessed with the fact that you were gonna lose your right hand, right? You're just obsessed with it. You're gonna lose your right hand. My right hand hurts. Something's wrong with my right hand. I'm gonna lose my right hand. What will happen is your brain will actually make your right hand hurt more than your left. Your brain will make things, feel things. And then what happens is it's like this like gang up where your right hand hurts, your brain's going see, and people are going, you're crazy, dude. Your hand is the same as the left. But what happens is your brain is making your right hand feel that way. That's what happens when you spiral. That's what happens when you do it. So I look at it like, yeah, listen, I still have my moments and shit. And but like I'm doing this joke on stage where I go, I'm just playing with it. I said it the other night, but I'm like, I'm tired of worrying about anxiety shit. I'm tired of depression. So I just lean into it now. Like I said, like I like...
It's like the women in the crowd. I'm just going to lean into this shit.
I like flying when I'm depressed because I don't give a fuck if it crashes. like I'm just like, fuck, you know, like when he's like...
Do all the things
like,
you hate the most.
because like if things are going good and I feel turbulence, I'm like, no, land, I got shit to do. But if I feel bad and he's like, all right, guys, keep your seatbelts on. It's going to be bumpy. I'm like, bring that shit on.
Whatever, dude.
Whatever, dude. Fuck, I'll just go with it, you know? But I just learned that, like, look, man, a lot of this is in your head and a lot of things that you can't control. So
I think the biggest thing for me was like learning how much it can physically manifest. Like you said, like I don't know, I just grew up thinking like, you know, there's things that happen in your head and then there's like, did you break a bone, break an arm? Like there's physical and there's mental, you know?
Yeah.
And those two things coming together. And also things like, you know, I'm still going through this now. I'm probably still in like some sort of weird depression fog, but it's like, I just like will never, like the laundry piles up. I'm just like, And I'm not even talking about doing the laundry. I'm talking about like sending it out, you know? I'm like,
Yeah.
just fucking get the laundry together, dude. Or like cook the dinner rather than order it.
Dude,
Or get up
making
off the
sandwiches.
fucking couch, you know? And
Making
it's not like I'm
yeah.
sitting on the couch like, I'm so depressed I can't even make dinner. But I'm just sitting there and I'll have this epiphany like, yeah, man, I haven't made dinner in like 2 weeks. Like everything's leftovers or ordering or whatever, you know? And it's like, and that's not, I think for me, that switch of like, that's not normal, you know? Because I've always been normal. I've always just been like average and medium. That first time that you have to acknowledge, like, wait a minute.
Well, that's
you know?
really smart and healthy that you have that understanding of it. Like, I remember I went to a loved one's house and I just saw like empty water bottles everywhere. I saw like their laundry just piled up next to their bed. And I also saw that they were out of shape. And I'm going, okay, so this house in a nutshell is what's going on here.
Yeah.
If you see somebody that's like, you know, I promise you this, if you go to somebody's house, shit's clean, shoes are lined up, they're not that out of shape, the bed's made, you're like, oh, this person's in a good. You see the opposite, they're going through it. But like
But that, to me, I used to just be like, I'm messy, you know? Like, I don't know, I'm just not a neat freak. And it's like, there's probably some truth to that, but then to this extent, like, nah, man, this is not, you know? Because there's just something, there's just this crippling, like, I just don't want to do that. I don't know why, you know? I had a long day at work,
it's like
and I'm done doing things for the day, you know?
Yeah.
And the minute that you stop doing things, you're not living your fucking life anymore. But was there like a moment or a day where you're like, okay, wait a minute, I'm like fucked? Like, did you miss an event, or do you have a day where you pass out, or something like a?
No, I would just.
This is something I have. This is bigger than, you know.
Yeah, like what would happen is if I was really in a bad spot, like if I had something that day, I would just kind of. Now I'm just like, look, I'm gonna put this misery in the back for a second and just deal, and then go back. My wife is really good with like. My wife is harsh though. You know, my wife is like
honest.
I'm Mediterranean, right? I'm Greek and Sicilian, so I come from more of like huggy. This
He's
and
not
that.
perverted. He's just Greek and
Dude,
Sicilian.
I'm not.
We'll talk about it in a second.
Oh, dude, we talked about that in the podcast. That pissed me off that motherfucker said that.
That's fucking grimy to pin that on a hole.
Yeah. It's like, well, I'm Italian too. I'm not gonna grab someone's fucking ass and be like, I'm Italian.
Yeah.
But no, like my wife is Scandinavian. You know, she's Swedish and Finnish, but she also has got German, so she's very like. She's very like not stern, but like stop or this or that, and like and it's good and bad. Like
I was gonna say that's tough to sometimes.
Yeah,
you know, like I feel like I want.
It helps.
I want a partner who like I can vent to. You could be the shoulder to cry on. You're gonna rub my back when I'm feeling bad. Not tell me what I'm doing wrong. But you probably need someone to tell you what you're doing wrong.
So she has like a good balance of that, but then sometimes like it's like cut the shit or like let's get work done. Like because my wife went through some tragedies with losing her brother and her father young, and like my wife just plows through. Like she's got that German, like she could like there is something about like German Irish. They plow through misery. They plow through hangovers. Right. I'll lose a job if I'm hungover. I would lose it. I'm not even fucking around. I would be at a party and I would when a keg would come or Jello shots and it would be time to go. I would be like, you know what, dude, another keg came. I'm just gonna get another job.
Yeah.
Like I'm just not. I know for a fact I'm not going to work tomorrow. Like I know for a fact I'm a no call, no show, and I'm getting fired. But a new keg, like where my Irish friends, they would fucking go 6 o'clock in the morning and go to work at 8:30, tough it out, puke, and just deal with it.
Which is like I can't believe I used to do that. And that's literally exactly what I am, German and Irish. And I remember from school, like I would book like 8:30 classes, and I'd be like, I'm just gonna roll over there hungover, and I'll just sit there like I'm disgusting, but I'm not gonna miss it, you know. And same thing with work is like I'll be there first thing in the morning, eyes bloodshot, looking a mess, but I'll be there because you just push through it. But then that you start to do that with your mental health, and like you can push through a hangover, you can push through some little shit. You can't push through that, It reaches a point where it's too much to push.
Yeah, and I think that's when people lash out. That's when people snap. That's why I tell people like talking to somebody or like I'm overly honest, right? Like I'll just say it. I'll just be like, look, this is how I'm feeling. This is what I'm worried about. And like, so the thing is like I'm an open book.
And she's even more honest than you.
Well, who's
your
that?
wife?
No. As far as feelings, my wife and son are similar. Where if they're upset, they'll kind of go off to their room and deal with themselves.
Okay.
Me and my daughter. out. It's out. It's on the table. This is what it is.
Yeah, well, that's the Irish and the Italian, you know?
And you know, so, and my
The
daughter.
Minks, quiet, the Guineas are talking.
Yeah, like we're gonna say it, and but now like it really is like I also have this thing where it's like, you know, shut the fuck up, Paul. You have 2 kids. You have a 12-year-old son and you have a 9-year-old daughter, and it's not fucking about you. And you know what? If God forbid something happened to you, then you know what? At least it's not happening to them. So like I look at that shit, and you know, I'll tell you something, man. When my old manager and friend, and he used to part owner of the Stand, David Kimowitz, was stabbed to death. I'm sure you heard about that. You know, he was my manager for 4.5 years. Then we didn't work together for about 3 years, and then he was brutally taken, man. He was, you know, and I think about that, and he had, you know, a beautiful family and a beautiful home, and just like that, he was, you know, taken out like that. And I'm going like, you know something, man, if that doesn't put things into perspective, you know, and it's like, what the fuck am I worried about? Like, and like you said, if God forbid you know, something happened, or it's like, you know what, you go to treatment, you try to fight it, you do all those things, you live on. This guy was sleeping in his bed and he got fucking taken like that in a brutal way with a beautiful family, and it's something I'll never forget. It was one of the most brutal things, and when I think about that, I'm like, what the fuck am I worried about, man?
Yeah, well, I think what am I worried about is a good way to like process that. But I think when I think you can also be like, oh, I don't really have problems. That's problems, you know. And it's like you minimize your own shit.
Yeah.
But sometimes, you know, that's not right either. Where it's like you can't just because you can get stabbed to death, and you know that's the worst thing that can happen.
Right.
But what you're going through still needs to be addressed or talked about, or you know, I think about my kids all the time, where it's like they're what matter. But like, but if you're not right, then
It's
you
hard
can't
to-
be there for them. You know.
Yes.
But I can't like I'm still just day to day. I'm not thinking like down the road where it's like, okay, I just gotta get through this like this weekend with them and weekend with work so I can be there for them or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like. Yeah, but you got to be there fucking, you know, 40 years from now, man, you know? And so it's you know,
what I was
that's I think the plight of man, where it's like I think a new age guy has to be like in tune with his feelings and has to be part of the homemaking as well as being a breadwinner.
Yeah.
But then also there's still this expectation of like the macho shit where it's like bring home the bacon and get this shit done and don't complain and, you know, be a guy. And it's like, I gotta be new age but old school and in touch but hard, and it's fucking hard to do it all.
I think what it comes down to, man, honestly, I think a big thing people is time, and I know people have said this before, time is so precious, and using your time smart, you know? So like if somebody's got depression, like I don't like when I hear people go, yeah, man, I got depression, or I'm going through some mental illness, and then you just see them hammered at night. And I'm like, you know what that's doing? You're putting a quick Band-Aid on that shit. It's like, work on you. You know what I mean? Like work on you. Like go to the track and run. Lift weights, do push-ups, go to fucking bed early, eat right. Like if you're not, see, the thing with me is I was tired of it. I was like, I need to get better.
You gotta get to that point.
I need to get better. Like I'm not gonna go, fuck, man, life sucks as I'm pouring some shit. Like a couple times, you know, you have a quick one, you feel a little better, but like I'm talking about, that just made me want a whiskey when I go home. I'm actually gonna have a whiskey when I go home. Like, I literally was like, I'm gonna put ice in a glass and have, but like I'm talking about the people that always are putting that Band-Aid on and always like drowning it out with shit, and they're not sleeping right, they're not eating right, and then they're going, man, I just can't focus
get
on
out
my
of it.
family. And it's like, well, that's why.
Right,
you know what I mean? You gotta, I think wanting help and wanting to talk to somebody. I got a friend, I don't want to mention name, but I got a friend who's a comic, and they're like, dude, I just started therapy, and you know what? It's like, there's something nice about dumping your shit for an hour onto somebody that's heard it all, that's a trained professional.
Not gonna judge you.
Right?
Are you good at therapy? Can you do all that? I still find it hard. I'm still like lying to them and shit. Like I don't want to tell you my worst things. Or I'm still trying to make them laugh. You know.
Dude, you want to laugh? I went to this one fucking guy. I swear to God, I went to this one guy, and like he was so just nuts that I was a comic that all he wanted to talk about. He'd be like, dude, so you ever go to Dangerfield? I'm like, dude. And this guy was like, it was like 4. I would go at 4 o'clock. This guy's looking at the clock. This guy's tired. I'm his last one of the day. You know, I was somewhere in Westchester.
Worst
he would just keep
therapist
talking.
ever.
He would just start talking about comedy and then listen. And be like, no, you're fine. It's not even that bad. And then, so anyway, dude, you meet Dangerfield? And I was like, fuck this. But then I went to a woman that my mom went to, and she was fantastic. Like she was like, let me talk to me about your mother and father. And then all of a sudden she would like really connect the dots. And I left there going in the parking lot like, oh shit. Like she just did some Jedi shit. Like a good one is like a Jedi, where you're like, dude, they basically fucked my brain without me knowing. And now I'm like at home going through like what happened. And that's actually dope.
Well, I sat down with a therapist earlier. I told the story on the podcast. Within the first session, like towards the end of it, she says something like, so I'm noticing that when I say something you don't like or disagree with, you talk loud and you talk fast and you talk over me. And I was like, no. Me? Do that? No way. What are you talking? No way.
That's so
And
funny.
you know what I did? I was like, no, I don't. I started talking loud and fast and over her. I was like, God damn. Yeah, when you realize they know what the fuck they're talking about.
Now, did she tell you why you do that or no?
Yeah, we started to get into it a little bit, but it was, you know.
It always comes from shit from the past.
Yeah.
And it's like,
well, you know what my shit too is like, all of my issues come from, not all of them, but 99% of my issues, I would say 10% comes from Barstool. I think this job is fucking crazy. I think this place is crazy. You know, it fucks with you. And then like 90% comes from my divorce and shit that went on with my kids and my family. And so like, I know that I don't have like a chemical imbalance. I know that it's not that I need medicine. I know that it's not, you know, this, that, the other thing. It's just like, this is one thing that I just got to figure out how to work through, which is like, on some regards, good. Like I tried meds for a while and it was like, I almost wish that worked. And it didn't for me because I gotta get through this thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, but it's a hard, you know, for guys who grew up like us, it's not, you know, like my dad is probably feeling the same shit as me and he just doesn't fucking talk about it. He just sits there and fucking stews, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't do it, man. I gotta get through it. But hearing your story and like how, you know, you know, it was months, right? I mean, it was a battle.
It was, I literally, like, the idea that I could, like, it was so bad, the idea that I could be sitting here now and even talking, the fact that, I remember when I was going through it, Giannis Pappas was one of my closest friends, he said to me, he goes, dude, you're gonna come back stronger. And literally a year later, I did my special and I was like in the best mental shape ever. But, you know, it was almost 4 months of like, it took, like 3 months was hell.
Yeah.
3 months I was in the darkest place you could be in. Then it started, and then I started to come out. And then I would say after 4 months, I was back. But that's a long time to be in fuck, to wake up like that.
Man, those feelings, a day is a long time to feel that way, you know?
I would wake up every day at 7 o'clock in the morning. It didn't matter if I went to bed at 4 in the morning or if I went to bed at 6 o'clock at night. I would wake up like an alarm clock every day at 7 o'clock in the morning in a full-fledged panic attack. In a full-fledged anxiety attack. My eyes would open, so you know that hangover shit we were talking about? Where your eyes open and you're like, oh shit, let me assess this damage. How many shots? I did 7 shots of tequila. This is gonna be a nightmare. It was opening my eyes and oh man, like I don't wanna go on with the day. So I always got excited when it would be like dinner time. Because then I knew I could just lay in bed. So I was always excited around like 6 or 7 because I would just lay in bed and then I knew that the whole world was starting to go to bed. So that would be like, that would be very comforting.
I'm almost the opposite. When the night comes, I'm like, that's when I'm left alone with my thoughts or whatever.
Well, when I'm not in depression, I'm like that. But like in the depression, I was just like, I wanted to just lay in bed. But what sucked was I couldn't really be around my kids properly. And they were just like, oh, daddy's sick. And you know, and my wife really held it down great, but like I was afraid to look at my kids because I didn't think I was gonna get out of that year. So it was really fucked up, man. And then you know, and then I got out of it. So thank God. But I just, you know, man, people that loved me. I also had some doctors make mistakes during that time, which I think prolonged it with medicine. Like, oh, you know, like I went to urgent care, which was really fucking brutal. I talked about them in the first special. I said urgent care is like the community college of the hospital. You know, and it is. Like
Heidelberg went through some shit. They were giving him fucking like penicillin. They were like, you got like an STD. It's like, what? No, I don't. It was like, you know.
I go, I'm having all these problems, and he goes, what medicine are you on? And I told him, and he goes, oh, it's side effects. Just stopped, and like, and it wasn't. And so on top of the depression, so I just had the perfect storm of everything, and now like I kind of know where I'm at. You know, and if I feel it coming on, I'm like, okay, this is gonna be a bad couple of days, but I'm able to at least like if I have to, you know, function.
It's that knowledge, you know.
It's
the same thing to like tie it back to the beginning. Like you have the knowledge of like where you're at on stage with your act, and you're comfortable, and that makes it slow down and becomes easier. It's that 10-year mark sort of thing.
And what about somebody who's schizophrenic, dude? Like there are people that are like bipolar and manic that can't help it. There are people that are paranoid schizophrenics that hear voices. So I'm like, okay, man, I'm dealing with some shit up and down like everybody else. Maybe mine goes up here, goes down. But I look at who's got it bad.
Yeah,
and people
well,
that are like on lithium.
Yeah,
that's
right.
You know what I mean?
Like, well, that's I heard Tim Dillon like a week or two ago talking about like with the Simone Biles shit coming up. It's like, yeah, mental health is important to everybody, but we start to just throw the broad term of mental health around. It's like, you know, his mother was like schizophrenic growing up. It's like, that's fucking mental health. That's, you know, and you don't want to like, I got it worse than you. You don't want to one up each other or whatever.
Right.
But there's like, work gives me anxiety, and like giving my presentation at work scares me, and fucking I need lithium to like, you know, not make sure I don't lash out and hurt somebody.
Right, or like, people that think they're prophets and shit. You're right,
like truly crazy shit. Imagine just getting dealt one of those brains, you know? It's just like, I don't know, man. I got a lemon here, you know.
Yeah.
But
I'm with you, man.
But and you know what though? I think Giannis was right, dude, because I feel like he came out of it.
Yeah.
And I think it's been stronger than ever, and like ready to shoot that special. Your internet shit's blowing up. The newish podcast with Burr.
Yeah.
So I mean that's got to be awesome too, to be able to sit down with Bill and like.
Yeah, man. Bill hit me up.
Is anything better? It's just because both you guys go, is there anything better than?
We were looking for the name. He actually, Bill called me. You know, a lot of people, because Bill is such a big comic, he's such an iconic comic, and, you know, he worked so hard to get where he is at. A lot of people are like, oh, you know, Bill called. People don't realize Bill called me to do the podcast.
Really?
You know, Bill called.
That's gotta feel
like you're like, and that's real. He would tell you. Like I'm telling you that on.
That's a dude who like you get his cosign because you know he doesn't just. You know, he doesn't throw it out easily.
Oh, no,
like he's been through here, I don't know, maybe 5 times. And the first couple times, like, I am flat out intimidated of this man. Like, he's so funny, so successful, so blunt and truthful. Like, he tells it like it is.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, man. And then I remember one time, like probably the 4th or 5th time, he was leaving here, and we had like some free gift bag thing for him, you know. And he goes, what are we doing? I like you guys already. I don't need this shit, you know? And I was like, wow, like that's a real cosign. Not like to do a podcast, but just like, I like you guys.
Yeah,
so the fact that like a guy like that picks up the phone and says like, I want to do an official like
because we always
podcast show with you.
Yeah. Yeah, we would always do so he would come on the Virzi Effect and we would have a viral moment. Then I'd go on the Monday morning podcast, we'd have a viral moment. Everyone's like, dude, you two are so close, you can tell. And we always talked about it. And then I went to LA 2 weeks before the lockdown, 3 weeks before the lockdown. We went to a Lakers game. I went to his house and we did a Monday morning podcast. And he's like, dude, I got family members saying like how good it sounded. And then my manager hit me up and my manager's like, dude, he's like, I'm not trying to like, you know, I don't want to be the manager saying like, you guys got to do, but he's like, this sounds really good. And then Bill hit me up and was like, hey man, like let's fucking do this. So we were trying to think of a name, and we always say like, we'll text like, dude, is there anything worse than a bland piece of pizza?
Yes. Is there
anything better than like a fresh pair of socks?
Yes.
So then we finally were like, let's call it anything better. And it's doing fantastic. And every week it's moving up, and you know, so it's really like we really have a good thing going. And it's a lot of fun, and yeah, man, it's just cool to do something like I'm doing my next special September 18th, and Pete Davidson's directing it. And it's going to be the first thing he directs.
Very cool.
And yeah, he was like, I want to, you know, he was like, I saw you when I was 16, and you became one of my favorite comics. And
Shit.
I want to direct it, and I was like, let's do it. So we're doing that. We're doing it. I was going to do it in Milwaukee, then I was going to do it in Boston, but now I'm actually doing it at Levity Live in West Nyack.
We were just there.
And yeah, I'm doing it there because that's a big stage. The room is like layered up. It's a really nice looking.
Cool
it's a really good spot. I think you'll get. I think it's a good mix of like big room and intimate. I think it's actually perfect for that.
Yeah.
So I'm doing it there September 18th, and we're shooting 2 shows. And yeah, man, it's just like for me, like I said, it's like I just want to like grind and just constantly like go up, and I don't want that like, oh, you know, like he did and not that there's anything bad with this, but I'd rather do it this way than have like one YouTube clip that fills up a club. I'd rather be like, oh no, I've been in this.
You've got the foundation, man.
You know,
you've got
I've been in this for a
solid
long time. Yeah,
yes,
and I'm ready, and I love what I do, man. I love having fun with what I'm doing, and that's the thing. Like I'm at this peaceful place where I'm like, I love what I'm saying and doing, and like if you love it, great. If you don't, I still believe in it, and that kind of lets me.
It's all that
sleep.
matters.
Yeah. So it's cool.
Well, I mean, the proof is in the pudding, man. You can tell all of that through all your work. It's fucking genuine.
I appreciate
and real.
it, man.
So let's go kill that special and keep it moving, baby.
That's it, man. That's
do
it. Yeah.
If you've made it this far, that means you like this content. Make sure you click subscribe so that you see everything we put out on this channel.